finals time in the AFC Women's Asian Cup. It's Australia versus DPR Korea. Can the Koreans take back-to-back titles, or will the Matildas' magnificent form see them crowned Asian champions for the first time in history? Hello and welcome to our live coverage here on ABC of tonight's final and third and fourth playoff of the 2010 Asian Football Confederation Women's Asian Cup. First up tonight, the big one, the final, a battle between Australia and DPR Korea for Asian supremacy. These two teams have automatically qualified for next year's Women's World Cup in Germany, and in tonight's other match we'll see a fight between Japan and host nation China for the third and final Asian Confederation team berth, remaining up for grabs for the 2011 World Cup. Joining me in our Melbourne studios to preview, review and comment on the games are former Socceroo Paul Ocon and the A-League's most capped player Matt Thompson. Great to have you back with us tonight. Should be two great games ahead. Let's chat about the final matchup we're about to see. The Aussies are ranked 12th in the world and 5th in Asia, up against a DPR Korea outfit ranked 1 in Asia and 5th in the world. Now, if you only had that information on hand, you'd be thinking Australia will have it tough tonight. But when you take into consideration the Aussies' form over this tournament and recent results against DPR Korea, Australia is a pretty good chance of taking out the tournament, Matt.
Yeah, the girls have done brilliant this tournament. Obviously a hiccup a few days back against China, but obviously we didn't field our strongest side, and we've had some great results against DPR Korea with a draw and a win a couple of months back, so the girls will definitely be confident tonight.
Well, I guess the only way to describe some of the games we've seen against DPR Korea is bizarre. They've been very physical encounters. We've had a couple of walk-offs. Does that highlight the animosity between these two teams, do you think, Paul?
I think definitely. You have to think back to the game at Ballymore where everyone was shocked, and I, in fact, was actually watching the game live to see them trying to, threaten to walk off the game and not play. And over the years, there has been some really physical encounters, and I think it happened a couple of years also in Adelaide where they tried to do the same thing. So hopefully the girls will use that as motivation and take it into the game and probably give them back a little bit of their own medicine.
Well, I should hope so, and as you said, there have been some really physical encounters. We've had extra time go on and obviously the couple of walk-offs, so it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. Here we're going to take a look at some highlights of the match between Australia and Japan. Now, Paul, you were here in our studio with us for that match. What was your analysis of the performance?
Look, I think we deserved it on effort and determination. We didn't play our best, I think we all realised that, but we were up against a Japan side that was in form, ranked number 1 in Asia at the moment, and we really had to defend, and we probably had a little bit of luck on the goal. The goalkeeper fumbled it twice, and Katie Gill's finish, as we'll see here, was, she took her goal brilliantly, and from there I think we probably grew into the match. And the second half performance was actually not too bad, and at the end there we really had to defend and work hard for the result, and I think we fully deserved our place in the final.
And of course, getting into the final means Australia has now qualified for the Women's World Cup next year. They have been described as lucky.
Look, I guess when you win a semi-final and you go into a final, you need a certain amount of luck. And we dug deep, we showed determination, and you can't play beautiful football and not have that determination. They go hand in hand, and look, I don't think we had any luck at all. I think we deserved it.
OK, well, let's have a look at the highlights of the other match between DPR Korea and China. Now, the coach of DPR Korea says he's brought in a very young side to this tournament. They're not at their peak fitness and they are quite inexperienced. So, Matt, do you think that was the case in this match against China?
Oh, this game was a great game to watch. Both teams threw everything at one another, and I think it could have gone either way, but in the second half of extra time, it was a mistake by the China keeper that gave DPR the 1-0 win, and obviously to play Australia in the final.
And it will be very hard, obviously, being China as well, knowing that they've got all that home crowd support. We've seen crowds between 10 and 20,000 turning out to their games. But let's recap the results of the semi-finals. It was Australia versus Japan, 1-0 with a 45-minute goal to Katie Gill, and DPR Korea taking extra time to beat China 1-0. Now, in some late mail, we've just heard that Sarah Walsh is out for the match tonight. An accident at the hotel in which she's twisted her knee means Australia's now missing its two speedy forwards. That's some unwelcome changes for Tommy Samani to have to make.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't want to have to make these changes going into such an important game, but I think all tournament, his selections, they've paid off, and they're missing Lisa Devan and now Sarah Walsh. It means that maybe he will change the way we play. But over the tournament, I think whoever's come in to replace players has always stepped up and done very well, and I hope that that's the same this evening.
I hope so too. Well, it's time now to cross to the sidelines of Chengdu Sports Centre in China, where our commentators Peter Wilkins and Alicia Ferguson are standing by with a new look Australian coach Tom Samani.
Thanks, Amy. A dismal night in Chengdu. Unfortunately, the worst of the tournament so far for the biggest game. Alicia Ferguson, that aside, the Australian team slightly reshaped with injury today. What's that going to mean?
Look, they have been hit with a few injuries, particularly in the attacking side of things, but what they've done is change the formation to a 4-4-2, I think, just to shore up things in midfield and in defence, and I think also to give Katie Gill a little bit more support going forward. Probably got Sammy Kerr up front with her, and them working in tandem rather than her being an out-and-out striker is probably going to help the Matildas break down the North Korean defence.
And what about the weather? Is that going to help anyone, or is that going to maybe stymie North Korea a little bit?
No, I don't think the weather will play too much of a factor. I mean, these conditions are actually great to play in as a footballer. The field's probably deteriorated quite a lot, so I think that's probably going to play more of a part.
Australian coach Tom Samani. Tom, huge game. The threat is DPR Korea. They've won it 3 times before. What do you anticipate from them today?
Oh, very tough and difficult game. You know, they're a team that's technically very good, but they're also a team that's mentally and physically very tough and difficult to beat.
And your side, with those changes that Alicia was talking about, you've got confidence that's the format?
I think so. You know, we've lost Sarah Walsh, Lisa Devana and Tamika Butt. You know, arguably our 3 most comfortable and dynamic wide players, so we had to shuffle the system a little bit to suit our other players. But we've played 4-4-2 quite often before, and the players are comfortable in that situation.
Good luck tonight. Australia versus DPR Korea, a match to savour, if not the weather.
It's the final of the AFC Women's Asian Cup. Who will hold it high at the end of 90 minutes? Coming to you live from Chengdu Stadium in China as we see the Australian flag making its way out onto the field. The teams are in the tunnel ready for this battle. The weather has turned a little inclement for tonight's clash between Australia and the Democratic People's Republic. We will hear the FIFA anthem start up shortly, but let's talk about all the great things that we're going to see ahead of us tonight. DPR Korea thinks that this game will come down to mental strength, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. They've come off a very difficult semi-final. They went into extra time. As we see, the weather's not good. The pitch doesn't look in good conditions. Of course, there's been a number of games over the past week in this tournament, so if they're going to beat the Matildas, they're going to have to you know, play even better than what they did to get into the final, I'd say.
And of course, the Matildas have conquered their biggest hurdle coming into this tournament, which was to qualify for the World Cup. Both of these teams will go on to the Women's World Cup next year. Tommy's been quoted as saying now that that big hurdle has been reached, their team can relax, they can play a more composed and assured style. Is that what we're going to expect this evening? Yeah,
I'm sure they'll come out definitely more relaxed than what they might have a game back, but I'm sure that knowing these girls here, they won't be just content with the World Cup qualification. They definitely want to go out tonight and perform and finish first in this tournament, and I have no doubt that they'll have the quality players out there to do that.
Now, all 6 goals for Australia in this Asian Cup have come from different players. We're going to be missing a couple of those tonight. But in fact, the almost 20 goals that have been scored this year have been by 9 different players. So that's got to be an advantage for Australia as we see the teams coming out onto the park.
Yeah, I think it definitely works in our advantage. If you're an opposing coach and you're scouting the Matildas and you've got to look at 9 different goal scorers over a number of games, it's very, very difficult to then decide which is the most dangerous player, which player do you pick up inside the box, and hopefully that will work to our advantage and we can score some goals.
We can hear the FIFA anthem, which is played over, or before I should say, almost every international. The girls are coming out onto the park looking very focused and very fierce. Matt, what's going through their minds right now?
Oh, I'd say a lot at the moment, and like I said before, I'm sure that they're having a joke out there, and like I said, very relaxed and ready to go, and they're definitely, like I said before, they want to win tonight, no doubt about it.
Well, Australia has previously finished with a second, a third and a fourth at this tournament. So tonight we'll be chasing their maiden Asian Cup tournament victory, and we're all here in the studio and of course at home right behind them. We're going to stand by now for the national anthems, beginning with the national anthem of Australia. There it is, the national anthem of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The team shaking hands as they both wait to do their countries proud tonight. DPR Korea has won 3 from the last 4 tournaments, but did come up a tough game against China, needing extra time to get into the final. Let's take a look at the team sheets now. We have Barbieri in goals, Colthorpe, Uzunla, Carroll and Kellard Knight making up the defensive line, Polkinghorne, Shippard, McCallum and Garriock across the middle, and Sam Kerr and Kate Gill up front. Obviously with Sarah Walsh, Devana and Tamika Butt out, there's been a bit of change in formation. Yeah,
it looks like Tommy's going to play a 4-4-2. I would expect the back four, as you said, to stay the same. Of course, Claire Polkinghorne will probably play on the right with Heather Garriock on the left. And Sally Shippard and McCallum will play in midfield with Sammy Kerr and Katie Gill up front.
And there we see the DPR Korea team sheet. Not too many changes from the other night's game. They'll be looking to put their strongest team forward, Matt, in an effort to win this Asian Cup. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they won't be, like I said, the same with the Australian team. They won't be happy with just the qualification. They'll definitely want to take out this tournament, and they definitely have the players to do so with a great result a couple of days ago. All right, well, Tommy's been quoted as saying this group of players can beat anybody.
Yeah, why not? I think on their day, there's no easy game, and I think the Matildas have proven over this tournament that, if they do win tonight's game, that they will have deserved it. And going into next year's World Cup, I don't think we should fear any opponent.
Well, the official for tonight is Sachio Yamagishi from Japan. We just see the teams preparing for the kickoff now. The team coaches, Tom Samani for Australia and Kim Kwan Ming for DPR Korea, issuing their last-minute instructions. Well, it's time now to cross to the sidelines and to our commentators, Wilkins and Alicia Ferguson.
A smile and a premature start to the 2010 Asian Women's Cup final against DPR Korea. The holders, they've won 3 out of the last 4. They've played in 5 finals, and the Matildas playing in a second final and in their 3rd Asian Cup appearance. And Polkinghorne makes play to start off with. It's going to take a little while to get used to the greasy conditions. The rain has tumbled down in the last 3/4 of an hour, and both sides are going to take a while to acclimatise. Polkinghorne gets a grab at a second, and Sam Kerr, the youngster from Perth, the 16-year-old, into the side today in place of the injured Sarah Walsh, makes a positive charge at the first, Alicia Ferguson. It's quite surreal here with the mist driving in. If it gets any thicker, we'll be struggling to see the team as the night progresses, but on the big screen it doesn't quite accentuate the fact.
The visibility in Chengdu all day has been quite poor, and it actually seems to be getting worse as the day goes on here. But great to see the Matildas in another Asian Cup final. Would be even better to see them win it.
And Colette McCallum, who scored a brilliant goal against Canada in the World Cup in 2007, right on this ground. In fact, with a couple of injuries, there were only 5 players making their return from that match, but I'm sure there'd be some positive vibrations going around the ground. This DPR Korea side has been in pretty good form, barring the 2-1 loss to Japan, which put them back on their heels a little bit in the group phase.
DPR Korea in recent times haven't been as steady as we've known them to be over the past couple of years. They've had a bit of a turnover in some of their more experienced players retiring, and it's a bit of a transition phase, similar to the Matildas actually at the moment. And we've had the positive result in Brisbane where we beat them 3-2, and they have looked a little susceptible. So I think it's a great opportunity for the Matildas to go and beat them here and win the Asian Cup.
Well, they've got some playmakers nodded on by Ra-Un Sim. She is one, but Australia with plenty of numbers back in this defensive line that has performed stoically in the matches so far. Really some brilliant form, and Sally Shippard called into the fray, coming back after a long layoff, has produced some very persistent performances as well. Off the head of Lauren Colthorpe on the edge of the field. She'll have great memories of the World Cup too, that headed goal against Brazil to draw Australia level 2-all in the quarter-final. What a brilliant moment for the team, and maybe they can draw on some of that vibration against this favoured team this evening. Garriott gets the boot on the ball, and you can see both sides really battling just to gain control. Kerr sent on a run again. It's punched out of play by DPR Korea, who have a handful of players in this side, perhaps 6 or 7 at last count from the team which Australia beats in Brisbane 3-2. Sam Kerr goes close. She was allowed to return from Brisbane in that particular week to go to a school formal, I do believe. So she missed the party, but she was at another one. She's here for this celebration tonight. Australia qualifying for the World Cup next year, courtesy of the win over Japan. Now, Elise Kellon-Knight is back to spoon it forward, but Heather Garriott not close to that. Elise Kellon-Knight passing a fitness test today on an injured groin, so fatigue gathering a few players in, and a couple of niggles across the tournament, playing a lot of matches in a short space of time.
The Matildas have had a few injuries, and quite serious injuries, unfortunately, in the last couple of games, and have taken a few niggles into this game, but I think with the players we've got and the depth we've got, that we can really trouble North Korea.
Well, almost in behind, but as you can see, the ball skating off the turf, leaving no time for Kim Chung-sim, the 19-year-old, to skate after the ball. Zhou Yun-mi, one of the talents in this side, and I guess if you're looking for the danger players, the 10, Kim Yong-ae, who averages a goal every 2 internationals for this DPR Korea side, and also the 6, the 8, and the 21. Look for those overlapping runs down the right side. She's got great skill and control. They have got some playmakers. Are the conditions going to stymie them this evening?
The conditions are quite difficult, not in the sense that it's quite warm out on the pitch, but the pitch deterioration over the period of this tournament has been quite high, and you can even see from some vision that the ball's bobbling up. It's going to be difficult to get it down and play, and I think that's another reason why Tommy's decided to go with a 4-4-2, a few more bodies in midfield and a little bit more support for Katie Gill up front there.
Yes, that 4-4-2 combination. Sarah Walsh, unfortunately, succumbing to a hotel mishap with her engineer came up well after the game. Now DPR Korea, what they do so well is spread it to Yi Gi-yong, another talented player. They're not afraid to play it in close to a player who's closely marked. Punched into the far post. Kellon Knight, I'm not quite sure she knew the player was behind her, and she escapes only just. Maybe there was a belated call, but I guess the first real moment of concern for Australia. There hasn't been too many for either side so far, and we've played 5.5 minutes.
The Australians, again, similar to the last game against Japan, will be happy if they can keep Korea in front of them, playing in front, and not let them get those balls in behind. And again, you know, from the previous game, I think the girls would have really, you know, taken notes from what they did get caught out with and what they can do better, because really for the majority of the last game against Japan we were really under the pump and had to defend under a lot of high pressure.
Australia with a throw in. Kellon Knight, the 19-year-old from the Gold Coast, loves the surfing, loves the football, loves the studying. She's doing a bit of everything. Well, not surfing on this trip, mind you. We're a long way from the ocean.
She's a female. She can multitask, you know. 5, 6 things at once. That's what we can do, can't we?
That's right. Studying a pharmacy degree at Griffith University on the Gold Coast. She's tried to get in a couple of hours a day. Now look at the Australians surrounding the ball. That'll be a confident sign for coach Tom Samani. You might have noticed to changed his hair colour, courtesy of, I guess, a women's football team. That's what you do on the eve of a final. And you do it with a smile. If you're the coach, you receive it with a smile.
I think it was his suggestion if we qualified for the World Cup, so he's only got himself to blame, and Paul Jones, the goalkeeping coach, is sporting some bright red hair as well.
Well, a real feeling out period for these two teams. The DPR Korean team with 3 victories. They were the under-20 champions of the world back in 2006, which was just a tremendous achievement for the nation and forcing great messages of congratulations. And in 2008 they made the final, and quite a number of the players have filtered through to the senior team, so obviously the depth. They are selected in the 6th grade at school to go and play soccer if they'd like to, and if they, at the club level, show a little bit of skill, they can stay there. But if they don't have the technique or the skill, they're quickly removed. Here's a player who does show some skill, Riki Jeong, that can't quite make up the distance. The defensive line, Kim Carroll, a 22-year-old who scored a first, well, a second goal for Australia, but a first real goal, she calls it, in this tournament. As a top-level Matilda. Now pressure coming from Song Mi. Near post ball, and a first touch for Melissa Barbieri, the 30-year-old captain who was named in February this year to that role. Perhaps just edging out Heather Garriock. And you can see the lone duo down the front. They're going to have some concerns without support from the midfield, but with such a quick transition, you're not giving them too much time, are you? And now DPR Korea threading the ball through to the area. No one home, and across goes Sevet Uzenla. Ra Eun Sim does well to send the pass back. Chance for DPR Korea, although the numbers for Australia. And McCallum chases back to coolly take it away and play a beautiful ball. Onside is the call. Oh, you had a long think about that.
Well, good transition by the Matildas there, and we saw that in reverse with Korea. That's where they're going to be really dangerous, catching us on the break here. Just tiny bit offside from Sam Kerr, but they're the type of areas that she gets into. She breaks wide and likes the ball in front of her to go and run at players, and that's where she'll be dangerous.
So we've got the Ra Eun Sim, the number 6, marked down as a defender, but she looks anything but that in the program for these two sides. And DPR Korea looking venomous again. They just moving those angles through the middle of the park. Now it's a 2-on-3 Australia, and Sam Kerr releases the ball to Kate Gill. Now Garriock's made the run. She didn't see her. She has another look and pokes the ball. Almost through. A foot pokes out, and the challenge is made. And down goes Song Yong, as though she was hit by a pole, by a piece of branch.
Good to see from the Matildas midfield. They're really pushing in and supporting the two strikers. Sally Shippard there got through a mountain of work in the previous game against Japan, and she'll be really important in this game to really take the pressure off Colette McCallum a little bit more in midfield, so Colette can get the ball, start pinging in players and getting us in behind the Korean defence. But promising signs from the Matildas.
Now the 10 goes up, Kim Yong-a. And poked away by Sally Shippard. Grew up playing a football in Wagga, tough country down there. They breed AFL players, they breed rugby league players, they breed rugby players and women's footballers as well. And this is a truly Australian national team with a little bit of international flavour too. There's some Estonian blood, some Syrian blood, some Turkish blood. That's exactly what Australia is, isn't it though, Wilco? Multicultural, but at the end of the day, so much Aussie pride goes out in this team, and these girls will just really want to have a successful tournament and a successful finish to the tournament after doing so well and qualifying for the World Cup in Germany next year. Well, you can see the Australian plan already, just to try and squeeze them in the middle and send them to the edges and backing the pace to get them there. A little bit of an opening for Ra-Un Sim. Plays it in tight to Yong A. Yong A releases it wide on the right, and the overlapping run comes from Song Jun. Near post ball, just wide, goal kick, well defended, good play all round. Best movement of the final so far. And that's where DPR Korea are dangerous. When they can get the ball into those wide positions, they had 3 or 4 players running into the box there. Looks like she's just taken a knock to the face, got in near post, but I think the Matilda's defenders did well, actually forcing her to go past the near post and make it difficult for her to get a header on goal. We can just see maybe a little boot to the face there. But just a little one. Just a well, it might have been Sally Shippard, so it's about a size 15, I think. So just a little one. Welcome around the nation to the Asian Cup final for women. Top 3 going through to the World Cup. Australia, the number 2 qualifier, and this DPR Korea team, courtesy of going to the final, the number 3 team, and 1 more to go through to the final from the 3rd and 4th placed playoffs. They're all congested in the middle of the park, and they don't want to lose this player. Yong A, she's the one with the high strike rate on goal. She's poked one into there already in the tournament. Oh no, it was Kim Carroll, which, well, she's about a size 15 boot as well. See a little bit of blood just to the lip of Yong A there, but I'm sure they'll fix her back up and she'll be on the park in no time. So the teams wait patiently, maybe a tooth loosened, but as she's off the field, it's play on, and Sam Kerr, the 16-year-old, sent on a little bit of a trek. And again, they get back and they're very composed in the midfield. Zhou Yunmi. And the chase comes in from McCallum and almost brings reward. Out on the right, Yi Jiong into the centre, Ra-Un Sim, and the release. Well, she might have needed the 10 to pilot the ball to. Oh, and almost through. There might still be a chance. Gill charges. The Swedish professional player, Kate Gill. She was trying to get to the ball quickly to send away Sam Kerr down the left, who's covering a lot of territory. She's been very bright so far, Sam Kerr, who scored her first goal for the senior Matildas in this tournament. It was a ricochet. She'd like one in more orthodox fashion. It's Colthorpe on a little bit of a trek and robbed by Yun Mi. And onside, this looks to be the call, but Barbieri's got it covered. Ra-Un Sim chasing hard, plenty of pace. And a dangerous customer is the 21-year-old. The Matildas' defence had that undercover there. I think the partnership of Kim Carroll and Savet Uzunlar is starting to work really well. Now just a little bit of space from Kim Kyun-hwa, who scored a brilliant goal to take DPR Korea into the final. Danger here. Yi Gi-yong, near post ball. No one in the vicinity. And again, Melissa Barbieri, who's kept beautifully so far in the tournament. That's a great release too. And wide open country in front of Garriock. The experienced veteran, 118 international, sends it away to Kerr. 2 in the middle, it's 2 on 5. They wait for some support. Looking for the tall timber in the middle of the park. Kate Gill, who scored the decisive winner against Japan. And the ball goes away. Battling back again, almost robbed by Polkinghorn. Gill chases hard. And down in lonely country as far as DPR Korea are concerned. That might be a bright note for Australia as they find a little bit more possession through Garriock. Back to McCallum. McCallum strikes a beautiful ball at the feet of Gill, and she can't roll it into the path of Garriock. The build-up was quite cool. They'll get a chance to go again. Colthorpe pumps it in. Coming up towards 50 internationals for Lauren Colthorpe, the Novocastrian. possession surrendered. So perhaps all the good work undone a fraction.
Good little passage of play there from the Matildas, and we saw again Sam Kerr really enjoys drifting off the defensive shoulder out into wide positions where if she's on the right-hand side, she can maybe take them on down the line. If she's on the left-hand side, she can cut back inside and get balls into the box. And that allows Kate Gill just to have a little bit more freedom to stay in the box for any of those balls that get in there. And again, good follow-up work from Colette McCallum and Heather Garriock.
Song Mi with errant ball. She gets a chance to make amends, feeding it forward to Zoe Yun Mi, and again the long wide spread. Kellon Knight comes in decisively to pinch the ball. Sam Kerr gets an early release, and again to Garriock. In the middle is Gill, and the ball's not again going to get through to Cho Yong Sim is the one, or Che Yong Sim I think is the pronunciation. Heads away. Gill turns, folds it back into the path of McCallum, and they're queuing up on the edge of the box, Australia. Shippard, the release to Colthorpe. Gill is in the centre with Garriock. It's a ball in tights, but the keeper, Hong Wong Hui, takes it comfortably.
Again, the Matildas' build-up play in there was nice and composed, and when we got the ball into that wide area to Lauren Colthorpe, we had 3 or 4 players in the box ready to pounce on it. Kate Gill was calling for the ball far post, and I agree, probably the way to go in this type of situation, just ghosting in at the far post and maybe being able to use her height to either have a header on goal or even knock it back across goal for someone like Sam Kerr or Heather Garriock in that case coming onto it for a possible tap-in.
So that's Uzunla and Carroll. They've been brilliant in the central defensive role, and Kim Carroll just hustled a little bit. A good ball in the end, kept in well by Polkinghorne, and now to Gill. Sam Kerr was in the mix again. She's come all the way from the left side, so that enables Garriock to find a bit of room. The number 7 back to Elise Kellon Knights, looking for the near post run was Kate Gill. It still might come to Australia. Polkinghorne, ooh, if it just bounces free, there might be a moment of joy here and there. And the 3-2 victory up in Brisbane at Ballymore, home of rugby earlier this year. 3 strikes, the first from Sarah Walsh, the second from a penalty. And that was an extraordinary penalty. I'll tell you more about that in a moment as Elise Kellon-Knight puts it through and it goes over the byline. Yes, there were histrionics. Not the first time from DPR career. They left the field after a very poor decision. They objected to it. They left in disarray. They held off on the edge of the field. Play was delayed for about 5 minutes while they refused to play. It was quite extraordinary and rude. And Australia slotted home the penalty for a lead. Kate Gill, the scorer.
It was all of those things for viewers that probably haven't experienced something like that before, but watching that game, it was an all too familiar side, unfortunately. It has happened on a couple of separate occasions, and on 1 or 2 occasions they actually have decided not to come back on the field at all, so it was actually a good result.
Oh, neatly knotted on by Kate Gill and forcing the defence into a pressure-filled exit. Yong Sim was the one who released it over the edge. And Sam Kerr already is showing some Sarah Walsh tendencies in getting in and behind and harassing them. McCallum, ball in the cross. Here is the header, a half header, really, from Gill. And the 25-year-old with a host of international goals to her credit. Almost had a chance for another one.
There was a little bit of a half chance in there, but I think the good thing is that Australia are getting balls into the box and trying to put this DPR career defence under pressure. We do have the aerial prowess of Kate Gill and also the speed of Sam Kerr. And
oh, was that offside? She's onside. Flag down. Here's Kerr. Pumps it into the net. 1-0 Australia. Flag down. Suspicion of offside. Not given. She scores her second goal. It's a Pontus of 2s. Australia lead 1-0, her second goal of the tournament. And Sam Kerr slots it home. She wasn't offside.
Again, we saw just in that position, I would have liked to have seen Sam Kerr's goal celebration, actually. We didn't get the backflip and the cartwheel. But we see here, just she ghosts off the shoulder. Claire Polkinghorne plays it into her, and a cool, calm and collected finish into the far post. I mean, as a 16-year-old, they're the moments you dream about. And what composure in front of goal. Well done, Sam Kerr, and well done, the Matildas.
Oh, Sam Kerr and her AFL footballing brother in Perth will be out of his seat. He'll be reaching for the ceiling after a brilliant effort from Sam Kerr. And, gee, we'd like another replay, but we're not going to argue with the goal. You'll allow us that, perhaps, back in Australia. If we're going anywhere near Pyongyang, I'm not sure that it would be greatly appreciated, that sort of comment, but I've got my doubts that they're even getting it. In fact, they'll be lucky to get the World Cup by the sounds of things, their men's team having qualified. But here the Matildas, so draw first blood, and it is Kerr with the goal.
Yeah, and look, from my experience actually being in Pyongyang on 3 occasions, which something I never thought I'd do in my lifetime, let alone 3 times, they definitely won't be getting any of that footage there.
Now, I understand, I did read a report where they are only going to be playing footage involving DPR career victories. So this match would be in doubt if it stays the same way. We're at the Asian Cup. It's the Women's Asian Cup, and we're seeing the rising force of Australian football, the women making play, and Sally Shepard venturing forth. Venturing south, in fact. That's south, believe it or not, that end. And over the other side, the eastern side, that's the Shanghai end, about 2 and a bit hours flight away. We are in the deep southwest in Chengdu. Population around 10.5 million people in the greater metropolitan area, which does seem to sprawl on for kilometres and kilometres. It's hard to pick the edge of the city, in fact. Kerr again on the ball, 25 metres out from goal, going like a winner at the moment. The pass only narrowly failed to get through to Gill, but again, Carroll has to track back. Oh, that ball had just about as much weight as she'd like on it. She wanted no less. Unable to control it. On the edge of the field is the veteran, the most experienced member of the side, Heather Garriock.
That's right, and I think this, change of formation that Tommy's made with the 4-4-2 has really settled the Australian team down a little bit. It took a lot out of them to defend for such long periods of time against Japan, and they really have started this game so strongly and are actually getting people around the ball, closing DPR career down well, and when they're getting possession are nice and composed and have people around the ball to get it out and switch it into those areas. And again, Sam Kerr, ghosting into those wide areas allows Katie Gill to stay in a central position and then look for little 1-2s in and around the 18-yard box.
Australia 1, DPR career 0, 22 minutes of play gone. On neat it almost found the mark again from Kerr, playing with the composure of a 25-year-old, not a 16-year-old. She's enjoying the tour. A very buoyant force. McCallum, one of the senior members. Shepard with a punch ball in that only needed about a metre or 2 on it to the left, and she'd found Sam Kerr again. And look out.
Good signs from the Matildas. They do need to take into consideration, though, that there is some space in the wide areas, and Claire Polkinghorne bursting into those spaces, I think, once the game settles down a little bit more, will really cause DPR career problems. And also, if we see, on the left-hand side, Heather Garriock and Elise Keller-Knight, both generally attacking players, and if they can start getting those combinations working and get a few balls into the box, will really start causing them a few more problems.
DPR career throw. Misty and sticky in Chengdu. I reckon the humidity, it's not really rain, it's just leaking from the sky, sitting on the shoulders. It's about 98% humidity, one feels. Uzunla, a 20-year-old with so much poise and defence over the tournament so far. She's up a little bit high, helping out, chasing down the dangerous Yong A. And DPR career haven't seen too much of the ball in the last few minutes, make a bit of a meal of it and sending it over the edge of the field.
Again, we saw the Matildas midfielders there and Lauren Colthorpe swarming around the ball and really putting high pressure on the Korean players, and that's what you need to do. Once you allow these players to actually get the ball down, get their head up and have a look, that's when they're going to be dangerous, and that's when they can cut you apart.
Again, another poor ball forward. Uzala with plenty of time to distribute to McCallum. To her comes Kwon Ha. Can't close down the pass to Colthorpe. She's caught, and she's caught out a little bit. The pressure comes from Yun Mi, and the ball in is good. And we have a shot on goal, a beautiful turn, but a great hook away by Kellon Knight. Ra-Un Sem was swarming a pirouette, but no shot. Kellon Knight there, the thief.
She did well, Kellon Knight, just to get back inside, not make a tackle, just make the Korean attacker make the decision, and when the opportunity came to clear that ball away.
Now the Australians throughout the tournament have been rather edgy from the set plays, particularly the corners. They got more authority here. Kim Yong-A is patrolling Melissa Barbieri. They've got a host of players, diminutive in stature, but it depends on the ball. It's a near post ball and a clear header for Yi Gyong. Australia again sort of waiting for the opponent to make the error rather than charging at the ball and making it theirs, but they get away with it once more.
It was a good ball in by the DPR Korea player. You know, had plenty of pace on it. It was quite flat, and that's where the Matildas have seemed a little bit susceptible at set pieces and haven't really been punished in this tournament. But I think it's something going into the World Cup when you come up against the European teams and the Americans who are very dominant in the air and on set pieces. It's something that we're going to have to work on and shore up.
Shippard put that ball down to Sally. Shippard's hustling. Colette McCallum scoops it up and goes with it and plays it to Sam Kerr. And the runs come now from Polkinghorne. Shippard's there as well. Garriock's available on the far left. Colthorpe patrolling the right. Sizes up across, looking for Gill. Dotted on by Shippard. Keeper late to the ball. Bounces up. Oh, it was almost a carbon copy of the goal against Japan with the keeper sort of tentative, hesitating and coming off the line. And then the bouncing ball, well, it's almost anybody's in that situation.
It was. The bouncing ball did trouble the keeper a little bit, but there just wasn't any Matildas close enough to make that pay for the North Koreans.
Well, another goal would be brilliant, but in contrast to that statement, the DPR side could just as easily snatch one, and it's all square. It's the sort of game it is, football. Just has you relaxing for one moment and paying for it the next. Gill nicely chested down, and the pass just out in front, scooped downfield well by Sung Mi. And Colthorpe with a cool ball to McCallum. Again, you can see it just bouncing irrationally off the turf, and that's going to be unfortunate for many players today. Yi Gyong on the ball, looking for her captain in the centre, plays it square, and DPR Korea at their most threatening when they've got numbers on the edge of the box and they're playing little sharp angles and making runs. Ball poked forward. Again, good pressure from Australia, preventing any incursion from King Chung Sim.
It was a tough ball into Colette McCallum from Lauren Colthorpe. She just needed to take a little bit of pace off it, particularly with this pitch in the condition that it is. It's very bobbly, it's quite muddy, the ball's bouncing up near your knees, near your chest, and again, but the Matildas, their recovery and defence has been very, very good. They continue to get numbers around the ball and put pressure on DPR Korea and don't let them get in behind them.
DPR Korea, three-time champions. Colthorpe heading the ball, doesn't go quite where she wanted it to, but Polkinghorne is getting through again. A power of work in the middle of the park. So Shippard and Polkinghorne and Garriock covering plenty of ground and doing those hard metres for Australia and making the side look very well shaped. Might need to work again. McCallum. Square ball goes to Yeon-mi from Kwon Ha. And they push it out into the right. This play's a danger one. Jong-sun. There's no room to move, but she's not afraid to take on the defence. To Yeon-mi. And they're forced to retreat. So again, more confidence building from the Australians. Garriock, moment of concern. Kill on Knight, elusive. A ball crossed in behind the attackers and thundered away from the centre of defence or the edge of the defence by Lauren Colthorpe. Well, they go again. A short ball in. And just a couple of moments of worry for Australia. They want possession. DPR enjoying a period with it. Yi Gyong. Pass goes Australian. Colthorpe will calmly watch it go out of play. And you can see the water back on the athletics track. The spectators are here tonight. Not in force, one might say. More were here in a couple of the other matches involving China across the tournament. And still a very vocal Australian contingent on board. Crowds have perhaps been thwarted by ticket prices for the finals. 40 yuan, 80 and 200 for a group ticket. That's quite expensive. For the earlier matches, the group games, they were as low as 20, 30 and 150 for group tickets. 20 is about $4 Australian, quite a bit in these terms. Now ball into the near post and it's going to be Barbieri's. The dummy was made by Kim Yong-A on reflection. She might have grabbed it on the right boot and taken it herself, but Kim Chung Sim wasn't allowed to get near it.
Lauren Colthorpe did well just covering that back post area there. But again, because the Matildas' defensive setup is quite good at the moment, they've got the 4 at the back, the 4 in the midfield, it is making it difficult for the Koreans to actually play. And while they are switching play and keeping the ball in front of us, they're not going to cause us too many problems. It's just important that the girls don't dive in when the players are playing 1-2 passes in and around the 18-yard box.
Well, a canny bit of dummying from Savreta Uzunla. She won out on the first occasion. Australia just battling for the moment. McCallum goes in, a really steely challenge. Falls free for DPR, Kwon Hwa. And again, they'll look for that wide spread to the right to try and bring Song Jong-sun into play. There goes the overlapping run from Song Yoon. Now the cross, will it be a pinpoint run? Here she goes on the left foot, floating at the far post. Oh, it comes off an Australian head, does it for a corner, no goal kick. And again in the middle, Kim Yong-ae and also Ri Yi-young with the chance, but not 100% chance, I'd say. It was just a glancing header. It was always sort of going up when it reached her. It
was a good ball into the box, and we just saw Kellen Knight a little bit of a slip there, and that just shows you that because the field, even though it's quite firm underneath, it's quite greasy on top, and maybe there's a consideration of putting in the screw-in studs to make sure that doesn't happen, because again, it was a good chance for Korea and one they probably should have done better with.
And again, one of the danger players, Ra Eun Sim, steers it to the right edge of the field. Danger coming from Chung Sim. Tight marking on Ra Eun Sim now. Back to Chung Sim again. Square ball to Zo Yun Mi. And numbers back for the Matildas.
Well back by Katie Gill there. And the Matildas are just under a little bit of pressure here. DPR Korea are getting a little bit more possession, but I mean, they've been in this situation before and probably under more pressure and in more intense circumstances. So if they can just hold out until half-time, I think they'll be very happy going in with a 1-0 lead.
Long ball from McCallum, looking for the chaser in the young legs of Sam Kerr, but no joy. Coming up to the 32-minute mark in Chengdu, Southwestern Asia. Good to have your company across Australia. ABC Television bringing you women's football at its finest. The number 5 ranked team in the world, DPR Korea, and number 1 in Asia, up against the number 14 ranked team in the world, Australia, number 5 in Asia. The ranking will go up after this tournament, no doubt, in the wide world. Barking instructions, Sally Shippard, an absolute dynamo, the 22-year-old, will run till the end of the day and further still. She'll put on the Forrest Gump shoes and just keep on going as the notes come out.
Here we go, the new Australian coach, Tom Samani, no moustache and his hair done.
Mystery man.
That's right.
Gill pressed, robbed, but still chasing. Now, a little bit of a leap, and well done from Colthorpe. Into the middle, they look for the wide release. Up goes Garriock to try and tighten the room. Provides enough of an obstacle just to send the player off a direct pass. Shippard coming in to send it out of play, beating Chung Sim.
Sally Shippard really did come into her own in this tournament in the last game against Japan. She was so composed for the Matildas in midfield.
Just a little bit of an opportunity, is it going to be for Korea? The cross going to be important from Yi Gi-yong. Can she pinpoint it in? Near post with Uzala away. It's still there. A big chance for DPR Korea. It's set up now for Jong Sin, and she sprays it all the way over the top.
And there's one of the Australian players down in the box there. I'm just trying to see that Heather Garriock, I think, may have taken a knock on the head. She actually had a knock in the previous game as well, and had a bit of an egg on her head, and she's been picking up a few little injuries.
Yeah, she's also had a little bit of coldy sort of flu symptoms too, but she has punched out the metres for the team.
And that's the thing with Heather, you know, under any circumstances, if she's injured or if she's sick, she's such a consistent player for the team, and it shows in the fact that she's played 118 caps for Australia, and we'll see it here. Oh, just a little bit of a head clash there with the DPR Korea player. Matilda's just under pressure in the box there, but they did well getting out to this ball. 2 players to close it down and make sure she didn't have a shot on goal.
Well, I won't want to lose Garriock, all that experience. And great poise when the going gets tough. Dad Bill's here, one of the small but vocal support cast following the team. Now, she is leaving the field. One hopes for not too long. She says she's enjoyed 18 months of bad health before 2 months of really good play. Not bad health, but bad luck with a few niggling injuries, the calf, and they start to accrue. Now she has had a good spell recently. May it continue.
She had a bit of an unlucky run there with a few, ankle injuries, which then turned into a few little muscle niggles and things like that, which can happen when you're recovering from a reasonably serious injury. The tendency is when you do come back that you might pick up just something else that's a little bit of a niggle, and it's such a frustration for players. And, it's not as bad as breaking your leg or, Sarah Walsh coming up with another something wrong with their knee and something that could be quite serious, but it is enough to frustrate you when all you want to do is get out on the park and play.
10 minutes to go before half-time. Australia, well, they haven't been down this end of the field for some time. The southern end of the Chengdu Sports Centre, and knitted nicely forward goes DPR Korea through Ra Un Sim. Kellon Knights well back. Garriock has recovered to keep it in play. McCallum in support, and Gill is forward. Now some numbers. The run was made offside this time. That's a call. I thought there might have been a better ball wide on the right, away to Polkinghorne, who was just in an absolute hectare of territory.
You're right, Sam Kerr just slightly offside. The DPR Korea defence did well stepping up, but Claire Polkinghorne actually had an absolute acre of space here on the right-hand side, and a ball into her would have been quite dangerous.
Sam Kerr. Nonchalant entry to the game with a good call in her favour earlier on. Shade of offside, no flag, 1-0. Beautifully executed finish. Now Carroll for the Australian defence. He's got a contingent of family here. Oh, just a loose moment from Carroll. Cross ball in, McCallum forced to come to a rescue.
Not exactly the type of clearance that you want from Kim Carroll. Could see what she was trying to do, play it off the DPR Korea player to get an Australian throw in. But in those situations, in the final third, you really just want to clear your lines and, if possible, hit one of your strikers so they can then keep possession and build the play.
Well, now the accurate boots of Kim Kwon Hwa with the corner. There is Yong A. Again harassing the keeper. Ball in. It's a dangerous high ball to the far post. Headed down. It's going to be a muddle for the defence. They have to clear. And it's hooked away desperately by Elise Kellon Knight. Oh, once again, showing some vulnerability in the box, the Australians. And Polkinghorne does well. Now Sam Kerr's got a long chase. She's quick. The long strides force the pass deep back to Myung Hui. And an errant ball out. And offside is Kerr. Polkinghorne, if she had a time over again, might have played that one a fraction differently, seeing her teammate anchored downfield.
And we see the chase from Sam Kerr here. A lot of these Asian keepers are a little bit susceptible when the ball's at their feet, and Claire Polkinghorne probably could have just taken a touch there and taken the ball on, but was she going for goal?
I think so. In her defence, I think she was trying to chip the keeper.
She was.
Got off balance.
Yeah, she was going at such a pace as well.
And well done from the 21-year-old. Again, loose room for Yi Gyong. Gee, offside. Not so sure about that particular decision, but we'll go with it. Back in Australia. And
just slightly. We'll get the millimetre ruler out.
I'll tell you what.
There wasn't much in it, but we'll take that.
Apologies for the parochial commentary to all our North Korean viewers littered across Australia. Anyway, we watch Australia lead. Gill nods it on. Bouncing ball. No. Hits the head of the defence. And down again from Yi Gyong, who's shown some great fortitude down the left side of the park and got a team into good positions. And they'll have another throw in with around 6.5 minutes to go before half-time. This game being played at about 6-7 minutes past 8 local time in Chengdu, China. DPR Korea looking for a 4th Asian Cup. Australia looking for a 1st in Australian football. Uzenla tucks it forward. And Korea come up with it once again. Stood on by Sung Mi. Kerr comes back to lend some assistance. Ball in tight to Eun Sim. They're working it around. Australia want the ball. Kwon Ha as they again release it to that dangerous right side. In on the near post is Ra Un Sim. It comes back indeed to Jong Sun. And it's not cleared emphatically by Australia until now, with Colette McCallum driving it high down towards Gill. Back it's going to come, is it? Garriock gets enough of the ball. Kerr looks to feed Garriock again, feet up, legitimately so. Both had them poised in the air at the same time. Good leap from Carroll. But they're not gaining possession, and that's going to enable DPR Korea to attack again in numbers. Kwon Hwa with the ball. She receives it again and feeds it back to the right. Was that offside? It was more offside than the previous call, one thinks. And it's Ra-Un Sim finding all that space, tracking down the right side, which is the danger zone. And Sim down the right and Yi Gyong down the centre, and this Song Jong Sun, a quite dangerous player. Korea with the ball and looking to level the scores. Australia just the enemy of the football at the moment. Can they gather it? They don't want a shot to come in. Barbieri poised on the goal line. Yi Gyong pours on the pressure again, takes on Colthorpe, wins the battle. The cross though goes over the byline, and so her pressure again characteristic of the performance so far, and what you're underlining before, Alicia, holding off the player. They're not committing to tackles, and it is working.
It's an important part of defending, and if you see some of the best defenders in the world, Fabio Cannavaro, the Italian captain, you know, he went through a whole World Cup and he hardly even tackled anyone. All he would do is actually shepherd the players and the strikers away from goal and make them make the decision. And that's what the Matildas are doing quite well at the moment. They are absorbing a little bit of pressure, but they are looking comfortable and still holding their lines. Now what they need to do is convert that pressure once they win the ball back into an attack and start keeping possession, because we're going back to the playing it up and then giving it straight back to DPR Korea.
Nodded on well by Gill, and Polkinghorne tries to earn a free kick. But can't quite get the better of her opponent. Throw in DPR Korea, and time ticking away towards half-time. It'd be a composed Australian team that could get to the break with a 1-0 lead. They've had a few loose moments. Sam Kerr, oh, little cheeky chip over her shoulder. Three pressing, and Korea in with the ball. Some snapping feet from McCallum. The delivery not great, but almost ricocheted fortuitously for DPR Korea off the leg of Servette Uzunla as the camera gets a whack. Throw in, DPR Korea. Both teams have pretty similar records in the tournament so far. DPR Korea with 7 goals and 2 conceded. Australia with 6 goals and 2 conceded. And the game is panning out pretty much exactly as that statistical form book reads. Nothing in it. DPR Korea enjoying the better of the latter part of this first half. Can they snaffle a goal? Uzunla will cover it and shepherd it, and a goal kick will be the result. So more vital minutes eke away in the first half. Can Australia win a first Asian Cup? A long time to go. In their one previous final back in 2006, they led 2-0 and lost 4-2 on penalties, so it was 2-2. Alicia Ferguson, you've got some rather ordinary memories of that game, even though you did manage to slot a penalty. 1 of 2 scored for Australia, but a couple were missed, and that was the problem. Well knotted on. Here goes Sam Kerr again. Oh, she might get another go. She tripped over feet rather than being brought down, but I guess she couldn't believe her luck in daylight once more after that good play from Kate Gill. McCallum slides in. Shippard, a beautiful ball forward. What a turn from Gill. Gill with the shot. Oh, it's a blindingly good one, but just over the bar. From range too. She was 32 metres out from goal. Confidence to burn. And
nice little turn here from Kate Gill. She's got past the player, and you know, any striker in her situation and in the form that she's in at the moment had every right to have a shot on goal there. Didn't quite get it on target, but again, she's in some great form and playing some really good football.
The 2 ponytailed attackers. Oh, nicely kept in by Sam Kerr. Very athletic, and it should be a free kick. Polkinghorne was through and caught by the leg of an opposition player. And isn't Claire Polkinghorne having an absolute blinder today? One of the absolute stalwarts of this side, playing in her 36th international today. She scored 2 goals, a 21-year-old from the Brisbane Roar. Mum Britta and Dad Tony would be proudly watching the contribution of their daughter tonight It's been splendid, as it was in the last game. She was one of the players of the game against Japan. Here's Shippard. Neat turn, skates away. Onside flag stays down. Sam Kerr won't give it up. Gives away a free kick against Yun Sung Mi.
Right idea from Sally Shippard in there, though. She just got in between the two defensive lines of midfielders and defenders, just trying to slip that ball down the line to Sam Kerr, and unfortunately she conceded the foul.
And free kick. That's a yellow card. Surely the card's got to come out. It was a solid challenge in the back. A nasty one.
I think that's the right decision from the referee. There was no chance whatsoever that she was going to get the ball, and she was really just trying to collect the player in that instance. And this could be a great opportunity for Australia with Colette McCallum over the ball. A good delivery into the box, and we see here Sam Kerr just, nice one into the back. Just a nice little good morning.
Now Servette and Colette McCallum might be looking for there's a lot going on in these defensive lines. 2 extra minutes in the first half. McCallum goes near post, looks at the far post, keeper comes out, just gets it too. 2 Matildas go flying through the air. Sam Kerr was one of them, and so too Lauren Colthorpe, who was trying to relive that goal against Brazil. Oh, she had a deja vu sense, did she?
It was very similar to the goal against Brazil. Unfortunately, she didn't get her head on it this time, and Australia just conceded the free kick against the goalkeeper. But a dangerous ball into the box by Colette McCallum. You know, that far post ball with so many bodies in and around there, you don't know what's going to happen, and that's how Australia got joy against Japan. Ball bouncing in and around the box and just having bodies in there.
Kellon Knight in the 50-50 contest. Does she win a throw? Yes, she does. Well done from Elise Kellon Knight. Carroll. Long ball. She got everything of that. Beautiful booming kick downfield towards halfway, and Australia's going to get another throw. So just 1 minute and 30 seconds to go before the adjournment. A little bit of a breather, and DPR Korea with it all to do. They have got in behind. They've had a couple of chances, aerial chances yet again for Australia. If they can sort of restrict the number of corners, the Matildas, they might have a better chance of taking the whole game. Ball hooked into the middle, and Gill with a turn. Well, gee, I'm not so sure about the offside call.
She may have just stepped up from an offside position back in to get in front of that defender there. It was a close call, though, and there's been a lot of those in this game.
Yep. I'll go with you, Alicia. Yong A, well, she was definitely offside. Rowe and Sim about a metre or so. So both teams are playing the trap effectively, and that should be time. 47 minutes on the clock. What's the referee thinking? The Japanese referee. And the Australians have had Ms. Yamagishi in 2 matches. This is the 3rd so far for the Japanese referee.
Seems like quite a rarity, to be honest, having a referee that many times in a tournament, but she's obviously proven her worth and got the whistle for the final.
The whistle goes into the mouth, and half-time is the results. And Australia lead at the break. Melissa Barbieri, the captain, she hasn't had a save to make in reality, even though there has been some danger in front of her. And Heather Garriock, who has a French boyfriend, Mathieu, in the French military. She met in Dubai. I'm not sure he'd be getting a direct feed of this coverage, but he might get the replay. Australia are leading. Alicia Ferguson, a quick thought before we head back to the studio.
The Matildas are doing well just to absorb the DPR Korea pressure, and then going into the second half, they just need to maintain that and keep them playing in front and not let them get in behind and allow Sam Kerr that space to try and take on those defenders.
At half-time at the Chengdu Sports Centre, Australia 1, leading DPR Korea 0.
It is half-time in the final of the Women's Asian Cup, where it's Australia versus DPR Korea, and Australia is leading 1-0. Now, the top 5 nations in Asia are very closely matched. That's highlighted by the rankings of these two teams in the final. But, Matt, how have you seen the first half so far?
Well, obviously it's a great position to be in, up 1-0 at half-time. I think after the goal, I thought the girls sort of lacked a bit of patience and structure, I guess, after the goal. And DPR Korea definitely put on a lot of pressure on the girls. I think that they got out wide early. They put some great crosses in, definitely troubled us in the box. They got numbers in there, and to come in at half-time at 1-0, it's obviously a great position to be in.
It's a pretty pleasing result so far. Australia playing some beautiful passages of play, pushing up front, building up well and getting good numbers in the box, Paul.
Yeah, I think this 4-4-2 system tonight's probably worked in our favour. You know, Katie Gill's not as isolated as she has been during the tournament, with Sam Kerr, who has, I think, done a great job in the first half. Although she's probably run offside a few times, where if she probably holds her line a little bit, if she's a little bit more patient in her run, she probably could have maybe got in front of the keeper like she did when she scored the goal. But the two girls in midfield, Collett McCallum and Sally Shippard, they've been outstanding. They've really, once we've lost the ball, got back quickly and organised the other midfielders around, and we've really been hard to break down. And I think you know, we've limited their chances in the first half.
I agree, and I think the 4-4-2 formation works really well for Australia, allowing passages outside the forwards for the overlapping midfielders such as Garriock and Polkinghorne. So I think it's suiting us better than the 1-3-4, the 4-3-2-1 that we've been playing. So. In saying that, though, let's talk about a couple of the players. Katie Gill's been a little bit quiet in this game. We did see her pick up that goal in the 45th minute of the game against Japan. She's, as you said, she's not as isolated up front, but we did see her have a cracking shot just before half-time. Yeah,
we did, and probably I would say that DPR Korea, the coach would know her strengths, and she's probably being marked quite tight. But one thing I must say that with the 4-4-2 system, we're getting more numbers in and around the box. Which is probably helping our chances to be more dangerous, and you know, given an opportunity like she did where she turned, if that had been a little bit under the bar, it probably would have snuck in.
We look at the DPR Korea team, Matt, and they're technically very, very good on the ball. Yeah,
they are. I mean, they all are very comfortable on the ball and know which side to play the ball, and they're finding it very hard for the Aussie girls to get that foot in. So they're definitely, in that last 15-20 minutes, they were keeping the ball brilliantly. But I think the longer the game goes, if it stays 1-0, they'll definitely frustrate the DPR Koreans. I think that's what they're trying to do at the moment. They've had a bit of success, but like I said, it's still 1-0 to the Australians, and if they can keep that tight at the back there and frustrate them, they'll go a long way to winning it.
OK, well, let's take a look at some of the highlights from the first half. Australia coming out very strongly in this first half. There is a couple of clear weaknesses in the Australian game, and for us it's set pieces, things like corners and free kicks, but we've also seen them a little bit shaky on a few crosses.
Yeah, I think that's probably been a trend throughout the tournament. We've struggled to deal with crosses into the box, whether it's from set pieces or crosses like that. And we have been lucky, I must say, that we have not yet conceded. And that's a strength of DPR Korea. They've got good wide players, and they do get good balls into the box. So in the second half, we're going to have to concentrate, because if they do continue to have more possession than us and they get into these wide areas, they really could cause us some danger.
We see Korea pushing up very high in defence, which is allowing the Australians to get in behind, and there was another nice run by Sam Kerr. She peels off the defender beautifully.
She does, and she did that exceptionally well for her goal. She just probably needs to be a little bit more patient, because with the ground being quite bumpy at times, the midfielders, when they've looked up on a better pitch, they'd probably be able to play the ball a little bit earlier, but when it's bouncing, they probably want to take an extra touch, and with her running a little bit in anticipation, she's managed to run into an offside position on a few occasions.
We just saw that cross go in there. It probably could have gone on a couple of occasions. The through ball needs to go a little bit deeper or further to the far post for the Aussies.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you're knocking balls in from such a wide area. And there we see her goal. What a finish. It looks like she's been playing in this team for a couple of years now, and to think that she's only 16 years of age, it's an incredible achievement.
I was going to say the same thing. She sat outside her defender. She found herself one-on-one with the goalkeeper and finished, well, with the composure of a 10-year veteran, really. So we saw Garriock go down in a head clash, which I'm sure we'll see some vision of shortly. She came back on the field, but it would be a scary thought to think that you were losing one of your most experienced players.
Yeah, Heather's been around for a long time, and I'm sure the girls would definitely want to have her out there, but it was great to see Heather come back on there. But I have no doubt that Tommy Samani will definitely want a lot more from Heather and Polkinghorne out wide. We need to obviously do what they're doing to us and get out wide and put some dangerous balls in the box. So I hope to see that in the second half.
OK, well, let's take a look at the centre of defence for Australia. We've got a 20-year-old in Savette Uzunla. In just her 13th international appearance, was absolutely sensational in the last game against Japan, and you've got a 23-year-old next to her. Amazing.
Yeah, amazing to think that Savette's only played 13 games. It looks like she's played, not only tonight, but throughout the whole tournament, that she's played 130 games. And winning sides, I think, are built on a solid defence, and those two girls in the middle have formed a magnificent partnership and have really been the rock, the backbone of the team, of which I think Tommy's built this team in the Asian Cup.
As that head clash with Heather Garrick we were talking about earlier, she did get a knock on the head against Japan as well and had quite a lump sticking out as well. Now, look, the Korean coach brought a very young squad into this tournament in the hope to continue the team's dominance into the future. He thinks that although recently he's had a draw with Australia and then a loss to Australia, that he still has the team to beat Australia. Things aren't going their way right now, though.
No, but, you know, you can see by the first half that they are a very good side. They play the ball well, they hold the ball, they're all sort of confident of each other, they're a real technical side. And I think in the second half they're going to have just as much possession as what they had in the first half. So it's going to be a tough 45 minutes. I think it's going to be a long 45 minutes, but I'm quite confident that the girls can hold out.
Now, Matt, if you were Tom Simoni, what would you be changing? Anything? No,
nothing. Obviously, we know what they're trying to do. Obviously, that we need to stop them getting early balls in, because that's what's causing us trouble. Paul touched on it earlier that Shippard and McCallum are actually being very compact in the middle and forcing them out wide. So I'm guessing that's what they wanted to do. But like I said, if they can limit those balls in the box and support the front two in Gill and Kerr earlier on, I think we might be able to snatch a second.
Well, just some quick stats for you. Shots on goal is 4-1 to Australia. Offsides 4-2. We've just seen the one yellow card. The ref's keeping in control of this game, and so she probably needs to with the history between these two teams. We don't probably on the bench have the impact of the subs like Devana and like Walsh with their speed against tired legs. So as this game goes on, knowing that Korea has played extra time against the Chinese just a couple of days ago, we'd expect them to tire a little bit, although not give anything away. Do you think we have the subs to put on fresh legs there and make a change?
Yeah, I think we do. I think definitely we'll see some fresh legs in the second half. The pitch looks quite heavy, and I mean, it's a fifth game in a short turnaround. So I think Tommy will have to go to his bench as the game goes further. And you know, throughout the whole tournament, as I said earlier in the program, whoever has been called upon has come on and done a good job, and I'm sure that he will have full confidence whenever he feels he needs to make a substitution.
Well, he prides himself on the depth of his squad. It is time now for kick-off in the second half. The half-time score, Australia leading DPR Korea 1-0. It's now over to Peter Wilkins and Alicia Ferguson.
Second half underway. Asian Cup final action. Australia on the attack immediately. Sam Kerr bustling into the fray. The goal scorer from the first half as Australia looks to win its first Asian Cup final in its short history in the Federation. But they've got a very talented DPR Korea side to challenge. Ra-Un Sim is pressed, squeezed, and it's still not released by Australia. They're kicking each other. And finally, it comes free, and the cool play of Kate Gill with the turn wins the free kick for a little jabbing stab from Yu Yong-hui, the 24-year-old.
And we saw before, Kim Carroll, like we were talking about in the first half, was just the defenders staying on their feet and making the attackers make the decision. And she did that in that case, and it was a bit of a scuffle in there with the Australian girls kicking each other, but we got it away, and Kate Gill was able to win the free kick.
Australia getting plenty of messages of support from Ben Buckley, the head of the FFA, as Kerr slips in driving forward. So too Pim Verbeek, the Socceroos coach, and Kate Lundy, the senator. And also they received a video message prior to the semi-final from Lucas Neal, captain of the Socceroos, which was a great treat for the side and might have inspired them to victory. Here goes DPR Korea once more, and Chung Sim looking to find someone in the gloom, in the mist. It's looking a lot brighter on your television screen, but that mist really starting to descend, and they're going to have to power up those lights, I think, in China. They love a good light. Elise Kellon-Knight doing very, very well in this match. Runaway Bay Hawks, I'd love to see her progress. Junior team she was involved in on the Gold Coast. As we watch now Colette McCallum, who played since she was a very, very young girl. Mum Margaret and Dad Robert encouraged her along, and she is a real talent. Does a lot of that hard work, hard grafting work in the midfield, and is a great player to find space and win balls for you as well.
Well, she's a great technician, Colette. You know, she's a natural left footer, and she really does work hard on her set plays, and her passing technique and her long and short passing technique is of a really high quality.
Oh, here's Sam Kerr burrowing through. Beautiful ball, and the dummy. Well, you could excuse Gill for that. She thought that she had support in Garriock, and now some defending to do from Carroll. Very cool. Kellon-Knight can't keep it in. And just talking about Colette McCallum and junior teams, she was part of the Joondalupa Untouchables, which I think is a great name for a junior team. Joondalupa Untouchables over there in the west of Australia. This team, very representative of the nation from east to west. Now a little bit of space for the captain, Kim Yong-A, the 27-year-old. As we watch DPR Korea go coolly forward. Song Yong-sun, a very dangerous attacker. A little bit of room now for Yeon-mi, 23-year-old. A lot of junior players in defence, but some room for Eun Sim. He's going to go away for a throw-in to DPR Korea. So Australia's first sensitive moments in defence in the second half.
And good defensive structure again from the Australian team. They've really settled into this game well with the new formation of a 4-4-2 rather than what we have been playing of the 4-3-3, just to settle things down, to get a few more bodies around the ball. And I think it's been working well for them so far. They've really closed that space down. You know, the hard work from people like Claire Polkinghorne and Sally Shippard, not to give these Koreans enough time to get their head up and then play the ball forward. And even when it is going forward, we look comfortable just defending them in behind.
Now, here's a dangerous floating ball, but oh, it was an air swing almost from Elise Kellon-Knight. Maybe she lost it in the mist.
Swing no ding, I believe the term is.
It's going to come back in. Number 21, a dangerous player, and Garriock, coolly as it like, robs the defender. Tries to release Kerr downfield, accuracy not with her. Gill chases back. McCallum, she's splitting on the pass. It's going to come free to Garriock again. Now Kerr's offside. She's offside. That's not given.
You can see Sam Kerr just trying to get back onside before Heather Garriock released that ball. Just had a little bit of a slip, and again, you know, we were talking about the field before. It is quite skiddy out there. It's, you know, in the middle of the park where there's a lot of bodies. It's starting to break up quite a bit. And unfortunately, Sam Kerr couldn't keep her footing there.
Yeah, Colthorpe loping after the ball. She might be forced to do another bit of play again as Shippard goes back and manhandles virtually her opponent and gets a boot to the ball too. So the job semi-done for the tall, statuesque Sally Shippard.
And we've said that about Sally, you know, in the last couple of games, the work that she gets through in a game, particularly when she's in central midfield, and her ability just to slow things down and compose herself.
Cross coming in, danger. You can see some backing in. Will she manage to get the shot in? It's released off. Two players missed it for DPR Korea. It went right past the captain and went close to Eun Sim. Australia struggling to clear it. And finally, Colthorpe says, I'll have it. Oh, she doesn't clear it now. She scuffed it. Ball in, and it's hooked away finally by the Matildas. As DPR Korea put the anchor out in opposition territory. Garriock heads on. It's going to come back again. Playing very high on the field. Pressing for the equaliser. Will it come? It feels like it might. I don't want to say it. Song Yong-sun throws her body at the defenders. Kellon-Knight tackles her willingly, effectively, although ball out of play, so the pressure not gone. They're queuing up DPR Korea. They're all within 40 metres of the ball. And now it comes across field. This was the end. They scored the goal. the decisive goal against China. Ball out to Gill. She needs a bit more support. Coolly, Kate Gill. She plays with a lot more strength since she's played in Sweden, plays for Malmo. She's also studying psychology at university online. She's going to have to look again at her teammates to close down DPR Korea as McCallum comes to hold off the player. Again, that holding pattern. Kellon Knight. Oh, good ball funded in. Headed away by Carroll. Only goes as far as Yu Yong-Gui. And in a similar position the other night, she scored. It did come out and the keeper wasn't home. But she had a flashback too and drove it with power.
Again, we can see the Matildas just not able to clear their lines. Every time they've tried to play that ball out of the defence, it's come straight back at them and they're under pressure again. And that's where we really need to keep possession of the ball and release ourselves from that pressure. When you don't clear your lines again, then they're just coming straight back at you. And sometimes that's when you lose your shape and little gaps start to open up.
Kim Kwon Hua with the shot over the top, and it's a replacement coming onto the field. The number 14, Yun Hyun Hee, and a vital replacement. So there must have been an injury for the captain. That was who left the field, I believe, Alicia. And we watch now as the ball is again with Kim Kwon Hua. And wide it goes to Kim Chung Sim. And threatening again, DPR Korea. They're getting some numbers forward. Australia have 7 behind the ball currently. And no way through for Song Jong-sun. And Australia really playing some heavy defensive strategy currently. Oh, great get from Sam Kerr. She didn't give up the ball at all and slid in effectively to win, well, not win possession, but at least win some territory and some breathing space.
That's right, she came in, it was a good chase from Sam Kerr, you know, she's so quick, and I don't think the defender gave her the respect that she deserved coming at her with that much pace. And hopefully the Matildas can keep the DPR career in here and maybe gain some possession and maybe end up with a shot on goal.
Well, that's what they're looking for, a period of possession. Australia trying to play a little higher on the park. Carroll shuffles across, finds Kellon Knight. Uzenla comes in, thrusts the body at the ball once more. Showing not worrying about damage to the body. Kerr feverishly after the shot maker Kim Kwon Hua. And they push it wide again. Ri Yi-gyong sends a useful ball forward to Ra Eun Sim. Back is Uzenla, the cool 20-year-old, the violin playing fullback in a spare time. She has been very effective in defence throughout the tournament. And she goes again, snapping at heels. Again, it's not released. They can't get near the ball in this territory at the moment, the Australians. Finally, Uzenla comes in to grab it, to make it hers. And Gill tickles one away. And it's thundered forward by Polkinghorne. But no one home for Australia and DPR Korea. Well, it's a 50-metre game at the moment. It's being played in one half of the field. 1-0. Australia lead the Asian Cup final, questing for a first in Australian football, men or women. It'll be a great entree to the World Cup. The men busying themselves in South Africa. DPR Korea are as well. I think from memory they've got a very dangerous group. Let's watch the action here. And McCallum can't thread the needle. It's going to be a throw-in to Australia with, I think, that group involving Brazil, the Ivory Coast and Portugal. So good luck, DPR Korea.
I'm not sure about their chances in that group. I believe it is touted as the group of death, and there's a very good reason for that. You know, 3 fantastic teams.
Oh, Shippard sensed an opening and drew hard for the ball. It comes free to Ri Yi-gyong. These Koreans, their training is very regimented. They spend long hours, a couple of times a day, really putting in the business. You can imagine it would be rather military-like in its precision.
It is. It's very...
give nothing away.
That's right. It's very repetitious, and it's all about, you know, perfect repetition and getting that technique right. And that's why technically they are a very good side and very, very disciplined. And we've actually seen in a couple of earlier games in the tournament, and the coach of the DPR Korea team has actually commented and said when their players aren't following the tactics, then he's quite happy to bring them off no matter what time it is in the game.
And a ball in Barbieri, a little bit slow off the line, and finally she comes and rushes. She hesitated, But you can't guarantee the bounce on these sort of conditions. In the end, no drama for the 30-year-old from Melbourne. Korea are going to come again. One feels, and strongly too. They go with Ra Eun Sim down the left side. This is a goal approaching. Or can Australia hold out? Ri Yi-gyong over on that side of the park as well for DPR Korea. The 9 threatens, as does this Song Jong-sun, the 29-year-old, the senior player in the team, and plays like it as well. Back in the middle to Kim Kwon-hwa, and they're finding some openings here. Here's Ri Yi-gyong. Ri Yi-gyong takes it, the ball, and sprays it. Did it get a tickle? No. It's a goal kick. And again, Servet Uzunla does the business deep in the defensive line.
And what a transition from Servet Uzunla. You know, she started off her career as a striker, attacking midfield player. Alan Stajic saw something in her. He needed to fill a gap with the New South Wales team. And what a transition. And now she's starting with the Matildas. And as I said, that partnership between herself and Kim Carroll is really starting to blossom. And I think that will continue to grow as time goes on and as they mature as players.
Now DPR Korea offside. Flag goes up. McCallum, middle of the park, hoists it forward for Kerr to chase. And Kerr, can she get on the outside of her opponent, Song Mi, the 18-year-old, just 2 years a senior. It's a battle royale back in defence.
You can see there, just as the ball skidded off the surface and made it difficult for the DPR Korea defender to clear. And that's what we've got to keep in mind as well when we're getting those balls in behind to Sam Kerr. Here's
a chance, a good build-up from McCallum. The danger not gone yet for DPR Korea. Shippard does well, thrusts the boot out. Garriok now can thread one of these venomous crosses. No, instead she pokes it into Shippard, who does well to get into space. 3 on 2, and Garriok now will look on the left foot, will she? She'll just try and dance. No, she sends it to Kellon Knight. Oh, useful ball in. There's the header, and it goes just wide from Polkinghorne. What a glorious opportunity. A magnificent header. It was oh so close to 2-0.
And we can see there, this is what Claire Polkinghorne does so well. She arrives late into the box, she's at full pace and gets her head onto so many crosses in the box. Unfortunately, that one just skipped past the far post, but promising signs from the Australians and a great ball in from Kellon Knight.
And Kellon Knight, well, she has scored 2 goals from crosses for Australia, both from Heather Garriok, and Garriok had released it to Kellon Knight, and it was a magnificent ball through. It was perfect, and oh, she's just thinking about the far post and just a little bit more of the scalp on it, and the
maybe bigger hair might have cut on it.
Oh, what a game it is at the moment. End-to-end, Song Jong-sun. It's just starting to open out a little bit as perhaps fatigue sets in. Colthorpe pumps it forward, and standing on as Kerr should win a free kick, does so. The Japanese referee obliges, looking for a quick take. Onside is Kerr, chasing hard, and Gill goes into support her. It could be a goal for Australia. Can she cross? She does to Gill. Oh, too high! Too high! It was a glorious chance. She spooned it up. Gill was unattended. It's going to come back in from Shippard, and it goes far post, does it? No. McCallum is searching for the ball. Oh, there was the game there and then. It was a clear chance for Australia. Any lower, and it would have been 2-0.
Sam Kerr there just needed to roll it into the feet of Kate Gill. She made a great run down the side there with a quick free kick from Colette McCallum. Kate Gill was steaming into the box. It would have been a simple tap in for her, but she just overhit it, unfortunately. We can see here, just using her pace. Oh, just wanted to roll it across the goal there, and it's a simple poacher's goal, as we call it, for Kate Gill.
Kate Gill was sweating on another vital goal. She described her goal to win the match against Japan as the best of her career. I'd say a goal there and then might have put the pecking order a little bit differently. Hacked down, and they're going to get a free kick, and Garriok, the Warrior, goes down again, and she's in pain. She Could describe the high point of her life being the birth of her sister Vanessa's child. And watch this hack. And the child, Orlando Matilda.
That's right. Had to get that Matilda name in there somewhere. And not surprising with the Garriock family. They're such passionate supporters of this team. And, you know, Bill and Joan and the family have constantly followed Heather around. And not just supporting Heather, but they're such fantastic supporters of the whole team. And just looks like Heather copped a knock there. Maybe a little bit of a cork in her lower leg or a quad. But she's a trooper. She'll be back on in no time.
Tom Samani with the new hairstyle goes with some movement on the bench. And it's going to be now Servet Uzunla looking for an Australian head. It goes, oh, it's a terrible kick out. It's going to be a corner. It's a terrible release. Corner kick for Australia, and DPR Korea fraying a bit at the edges.
I mean, it wasn't a great ball into the box for Servet, but you can just see when you keep that low and put a bit of pace on it, it's difficult for the defenders on this greasy surface.
Well, let's look for Polkinghorne making the run in deep. They've got that space in. This was a rehearsed move, and it's Shippard calling for it far post. So too Colthorpe up. On the near post is Gill, and it's going to be Garriock looking for Polkinghorne perhaps. Shippard. And Garriock roving around on the corner post, waiting to deliver another telling blow. Kim Carroll is up as well. And now here it comes. There's the corner. It's a dangerous one, far post. And what does the call? The referee has stopped play.
I think she called that she was going to blow the whistle before Heather had to take that. So
okay, well,
a little bit of a
again.
miscommunication here, but...
Yeah, well, half were on their game in the box and half were just waiting.
I think the referee was, just trying to see. There's been a little bit of jostling and pushing around in there, so she's just waiting for things to calm down before Heather gets the ball into the box.
Well, watch again. Sam Kerr is waiting like a thief again. Shippard makes the run, and the keeper rises high. The young 18-year-old Myung Hui does well to capture the ball, and it's going to be a free kick.
Yeah.
We still reflect on the opportunity, and Sam Kerr, that would have been the cap on a golden game for her, had she been the deliverer for the second goal. And I'm not entirely sure what's wrong. She kicks it into the back.
Yeah, Sam Kerr just went in front of the keeper, so just a foul there.
Now they operate in about a 15-metre square space, headed downfield, and DPR Korea will come again. It's going to be threaded through by Chung Sim. Chung Sim on the venomous left boot. Australia back, really player watching. Can they keep it going? And some nice effective play. The ball goes wide from Kwon Ha, and now far post, and they queue up. No, it's over the top. Well, they had numbers 3-on-3 at the back post, but the ball floated too high from the 23-year-old Yi Gyong. And DPR Korea, despite some effective build-up, was stretched wide.
Some very good one-touch play from DPR Korea there, but Yi Gyong, probably her service into the box hasn't been very good tonight. Most of the time it gets out wide, it's gone in behind the goals, which, you know, to the Australians' advantage, let her keep getting the ball. Let her keep getting the ball, try and close her down, you know, because she hasn't been that effective up until this stage.
All the time, the clock is ticking. 19.5 minutes gone in the second half. Gee, are we going to see extra time? Maybe penalties again. Long way to go. Long way to go. Alicia doesn't think so. It's going to be run and one.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Maybe here. We've got to thread all these possibilities into the mix. Australia defending. Kellon Knights, cool. Back to Barbieri. And she mistimes the boot, but at least gets it out of play. But Australia just have the anchor out in their own territory a little bit. And DPR Korea with numbers forward, and Sim, the dangerous number 6, lurking on the edge of the 6-yard box. Australia sweating and punching it downfield again. And, well, a territory game in any other sport or in any other football code of a useful description. Well, the throw-in was way back downfield. It almost bounced on the line. Pressure coming from Australia yet again. The Matildas swarming. Kellon Knight did a lot. Gill sent to chase. And another cool piece of defending from Yong Sim, sending it wide to Sung Mi.
We can see as the game's going on, the DPR Korea right and left fullback are pushing on, which is leaving space, exactly what we've seen Sam Kerr run into.
And Polkinghorne does well, and so does Sam Kerr, winning the ball and then poking a nice delivery inside to her teammate. Uzunla Sweated on. Cool play to McCallum. Just a neat little turn over the ball. Little drag back. Sadly, the delivery didn't match the technical skill. But again, she's working feverishly for her nation once more, and who's to say she's not going to put the thorn at DPR career's wound tonight. Now the bouncing ball again, and Gill, she could have delivered it, it was onside. Now it's offside, no one's chasing in any case. And status quo remains in favour of Australia. 1-0.
There's still that space in behind the DPR career defence, and it's just got to take one of those balls to pop into Sam Kerr's path again for her to be one-on-one with the keeper. And after a composed finish in the first half, I think I'd back her to get another one in this game if she had that opportunity.
Garriock had made the run, not found. Jong Sun goes across field and searches out a player, the 29-year-old, and it's Ri Yi-gyong poking it in forward, but Kim Carroll, that ominous presidency, recovered from a knee reconstruction this year, goes in to make the ball. Early ball from Polkinghorne, might go again, and it's going to be a free kick. Surely advantage should have been played. The ball was free, and so was Sam Kerr. She was onside. She was onside this time, and Claire Polkinghorne making another bursting run through the defence. She goes at them with pace. You can see the ball bobbling up. Just played it off the defender and got the free kick. So an opportunity for Australia to get the ball in and around this DPR Korean defence and cause them some problems. I'd like to see Katie Gill get ahead on the ball, maybe a little knockdown for a Sam Kerr running onto it. Well, it hasn't Polkinghorne, as we look at Servette Uzenla, had a blinder in the last couple of matches. Can she get on the end of one? Into Gill, and Polkinghorne header once more, and Sam Kerr has another scurry after the ball but can't pick up the pieces.
Sometimes it's like Claire Polkinghorne has a magnet on her head attracted to the ball. There's balls that get into the box or during free kicks or set pieces that you just don't think she's going to get onto, and she comes bursting through, and it's usually ricocheting into the back of the net. She's so dangerous in those positions coming from deep.
And another attempted thread forward from Polkinghorne just goes awry, but Australia are going to come up with it again via Heather Garriock. Neatly into Gill, lays it off, and it might come Australia's way again. A good challenge in the middle from Shippard. That was a no-quarter given challenge, and neither was that from Kim Carroll. It's being played in the middle third at the moment. Both teams struggling to gain some ascendancy. Ri Yi-gyong, though, goes. She's got Un Sim in the middle. She plays it in tight, and Un Sim has held off the ball well by Uzenla, who now tucks it down and makes a territory gain of some 50 metres. So it's nip and tuck. 24 minutes gone. Australia leading 1-0 in its quest to win a first Asian Cup for the nation. What a feat it would be.
It would be an absolute fantastic feat. And just seeing all these girls and the way they've performed throughout this tournament, you know, it makes you proud to be an Aussie.
There's a through ball. That's a danger. And the shot goes in. Barbieri, brilliant! Brilliant save from Melissa Barbieri. The captain stands tall when required, and she denies Ra-Un Sim, who must have thought it was going to be 1-1. It was a beautiful ball through. In fact, it was the replacement player with a shot on goal, and Ra-Un Sim, it was perhaps chasing up the crumbs, but a terrific chase really from Yoon Hyun Hee to deny or pull the save out of Melissa Barbieri.
And Bubs needed to get down to that and make the save, and what a great save it was, and that could be the turning point in keeping Australia in this game and on the road to success at the Asian Cup for their first ever Asian Cup. What a crucial save, and that's really, you know, that determines such a good goalkeeper. May not have...
Outside, the goal. It was bouncing dangerously again, and this time it was Ra-Un Sim, the 21-year-old, chasing through and failed to get on the end of it. The game now from end to end as we watch the bouncing ball, and the pitch is very hard. It was quite soft when they first came here a couple of weeks ago. Now it's really hardened up despite the moisture. Kerr, beautiful play to Kellon Knight. She tracks well, holds it beautifully and lays it back nicely to Garriock, and now to Uzenla. They seem to be growing in confidence, Australia. Ball across to Colthorpe, and the one touch, a little ambitious from Colthorpe. She's had a great game nonetheless, but now the danger signs are up. Chong Sim releases it wide to Un Sim, and Un Sim, she'll cut back on the left. She'll shoot. She'll just miss.
Oh, That's heart in your mouth type stuff, isn't it? And again, it just points out the importance of keeping possession, because against teams like DPR Korea, their transition is so quick. They can knock you out in 2 or 3 passes, and we saw they switched the ball back out wide and just cutting inside on the left foot for a shot. And geez, happy to see that go. Looked like Bubs had that covered at the near post anyway, but still a bit of a scare for the Matildas and something that they need to keep an eye on.
Now they're playing an even more congested midfield, but you can see the skill too with these swiftly technical DPR Korea players. They are going to challenge her with the wet conditions. Been talking about that tonight, Alicia. It is a test now, and you can see the effort pouring from the faces of all the Matildas, all the Australian team. Gill goes up high. She'll get another crack in over the top. Almost a free kick in another land maybe. Now Uzenla heads onto the ball and Shippard's there in support. Another release and a nice tickle on again from Polkinghorne. Just failed to find the target, but there are still numbers in and around her. Although Zhou Yunmi goes forward and threatening is Ri Yi Gyong and spoons a useful ball up too to Chung Sim, and DPR Korea threatening some danger. Held out by Garriock. And in now, tough ball, free header in the back of the net. It's a goal. It's the equaliser from Zhou Yunmi. 1-1.
Now we can see on the replay, free header in the box there. Some good build-up play from DPR Korea, and to be honest, it probably looks like it's been coming over the past few minutes. The Matildas have had to sustain a little bit of pressure, haven't been able to break out of it. We can see the ball into the box here, and the DPR Korea play just gets the nod on into the far post. Nothing that Melissa Barbieri could do about getting onto that one.
Well, she scores her 3rd goal of the tournament so far, and levels it up with Japan's Sawa. Now Australia, here's a chance, right at the other end, Polkinghorne, oh no, it's gone wide, an open goal. Polkinghorne had made an outrageous run forward, and she virtually had an open goal, but couldn't make it count. Oh, the knockout punch would have come swift and severe. She was in, but she only had to really steer it in. She didn't need to overhit it. It was probably easier to miss than score, but you never know in the pressure. Well, she was a little wide. You didn't miss by much, but there was a lot of goal open, and Polkinghorne misses a second, but not for want of effort. It was a glorious run. Australia battle again. Sam Kerr goes hard, and Kate Gill wasn't reading her play. And it's DPR Korea who threaten again. It's 1-1 the score, and we've got still 15 minutes to go, and Korea now lifting the game. And just when it looked as though Australia were thwarting every challenge, well, Australia has had 2 misses that they won't want to think about. Ball on to Ra Eun Sim, holds it down, sends it wide to Yi Gyong, and they queue up in the centre again, and the goal scorer is there as well, or at least the goal provider. And we watch now, it goes across field. And is it going to go out of play? Oh, a bit of relief for Australia.
And this is a crucial time for the Matildas. We can see just down on the touchline here, looks like Kaya Simon's going to come into the game, try and provide a little bit more spark in the attacking sense. You can go for broke in these games now at 1-1. You just need to not give anything away defensively. And there's opportunities that are opening up. We just saw Claire Polkinghorne before. So there is space in there. And the Matildas need to keep believing that they can get in behind this DPR Korea defence and cause them some problems and maybe nick another goal.
Well, Sam Kerr comes off, one of the most dangerous Australian players. So it's a replacement that does put a little bit of pressure on Kaya Simon, but she is the late goal winner. She did score the winner against DPR Korea in Brisbane in the 90th minute. So can she do it again? In fact, she scored 2 goals for Australia, both last gasp winners. The other one was against Brazil. It's DPR, though, with a chance. They throw in the dangerous ball, knotted down by Goldthorpe, and the free shots all the way to Barbieri. It didn't have any pace, but you can feel the game changing with the goal, DPR lifting, and Australia, they might have pinched it back straight away. And hooked clear, a free kick holding. So the Australian aggression in the midfield, just conceding the odd free kick, and again a player in space on the left. Control eludes her. And it's going to come down to Zoe Yunmi, the 23-year-old now, with 3 goals in the tournament. And that's one she won't forget. It was a beautiful ball in and a magnificently guided header. And Barbieri was anchored and could only watch it go inside the far post.
This is where the Matildas need to be switched on in these defensive type situations. Just another free kick conceded there in the edge of halfway. And these balls into the box, they need to be switched on and make sure they're tight with their players.
Well, now they rage again. Australia under siege into the near post, and the keeper ball. Oh, surely that's a yellow card. Well, tumbling in on the goalkeeper. She's let her off, Ra-Un Sim, with a really clumsy challenge on the goalkeeper and totally unnecessary. Ball came in, and she was, oh, well, I'll take it back. Maybe it was slightly accidental. She was shielded by Carroll, who was doing a good job. Oh, but on that angle, I'll go back to the original form.
The joys of the replay, hey?
1-1. Tension is high, needless to say. And the Barbieri Thunder's not the best goal kick out, but the reward is pretty good. Although Simon does tend to lurk offside a little bit, and the call would have been made against her. Well, can she make history repeat 3 times in her short career in Australian colours? Kaya Simon, the 18-year-old. It would be a glorious statement to make should she be able to snatch 3 winners. And Barbieri just releases wide. Australia, I guess you could say, just tooling the ball around a little bit.
And the Australians need to get back to trying to get possession in midfield with Sally Shippard and Colette McCallum, and giving them the ability to play those balls into the wide areas for the players like Simon to get onto them and Claire Polkinghorne going forward.
And Kellon Knight holds firm, as she's going to have some more work to do now, as it's Kim Chung Sim who's going to threaten once more. Support comes, not quite covered by Gary. Dangerous high ball. Barbieri does have it, and she's taken out again by the same player. Where's the card this time? That's 2 in a row. Ra-Un Sim just clumsily into the Australian keeper.
And the referee's just having a little chat to her there. You know, same thing again. Don't think she was going too much for the ball there. Just keeping an eye on Melissa Barbieri as she's in the air. And it looks like Bub's just going to stay down and get a little bit of treatment here. Maybe soak up a little bit of the clock and try and just relieve a bit of the pressure that's been on the Australians for the last 5 or 10 minutes.
And it is pressure indeed for the Australian keeper.
And we can see Tom Samani on the picture there. I think he's, you know, just saying to the players, just let's calm it down. There's no need to panic here. We've still got 10 or 12 minutes of play left. And at the end of the day, the score's 1-1. So you take this into an extra time situation and it's basically a clean slate. You know, they've still got everything to play for here. And we just need to maintain a little bit more composure and not get too frantic in defence. And then, as we say, try and build that attack again. Try and get the ball into the striker's feet and keep possession. Mum
Norrie will be at home watching very, very closely. Her daughter, who turned 30 this year and was awarded with the captaincy. She was the first woman to play in a senior men's competition, and she played with Richmond in the under-21 Premier League down in Victoria. She's a stoic campaigner. And
she might also be the first woman to go from a left-sided midfielder in an Australian squad to then the starting goalkeeper.
Yes, well, she got an injury, didn't she? She got an injury that was sort of a chronic back complaint.
Yeah.
And it ended up I think it to be a severe hamstring tendonitis, and by the time it was diagnosed, it was all sort of a little bit too late. She'd been discovered in goal. Was that the story?
Well, she made the decision because of that injury that it was going to be difficult for her to continue playing out on the field. And, you know, what a transition, though. Starting goalkeeper from a left winger, like there's no 2 different positions in those 2, I don't think.
Good kick downfield, and Ra-Un Sim challenging Kim Carroll. Sabet Uzunla, the partner in crime. Kellon Knight hustles. She knows she's got a bit of ground to cover up. Well, Gary took her eye off the ball. But Kellon Knight comes in to save her once more. Well, perhaps not taking her eye off the ball, but not realising that the opponent was so quick behind her.
It was a bit of a tough ball into Heather Garriock there from Kellen Knight. You know, head back to goal with DPR career defender steaming down on her. Maybe if she just dinked it over that, released the pressure and hit Kai Simon, then Heather could have gotten the return pass.
Well, DPR career go across field, and the team is certainly playing some threatening football. Australia with the 3 best opportunities of the match. They've taken 1. DPR career with a couple, and they've taken 1. Simon driving hard and well, sort of going 3/4 at it and trying to drag the opponent down. Well, she's trying hard, but just never really had control over the ball at that second attempt. And that's a loose delivery coming, and an Australian throw. Gee.
Again, it's really important for the Australian strikers to start getting the ball down and keeping possession, bringing the midfielders into play, and then we can start going forward with the ball. But at the moment, it just keeps getting up to them, coming back, and they really need to work hard on keeping that possession, because that's where the attack's going to start from.
A little bit of danger again with Un Sim. Slip downfield from Simon. Can't hold her feet. Now she does well. Tackles back and threads the ball to McCallum. Cooley. Kellen Knight. Garriock. And wins the throw in. Garriock with another nice hustle. Well, it's hard to see who's going to score the goal to win the game. But might it come for Simon again. Downfield it goes. Back it comes to McCallum. Some bodies being played as well as balls currently. Kellen Knight, delightful play forward. And the pass, it matters not that it didn't hit the target. She'll get a throw in. And Australia push up to halfway from deep. DPR career, 3-time winners. They've won once in extra time. Australia have made it to a final and lost once. It's on the line now. Garriock, beautiful play. And then across field, Shippard, a little chip, but too much weight and a hand on the head in exasperation.
Yeah, I think Sally will be disappointed with that in there. Probably just rushed it a little bit, as we can see the rain coming down. Conditions getting even more slippery, which might play a part in the game in the final, well, 5 or 6 minutes. There's not long to go now.
Well, McCallum battling and gives away a free kick. And her slippery opponent, Un Sim, really doing the business in close. And visibility, you're seeing it all right at home. It's down to about 50 metres. Ball way out to the left, and they're going to push it into the centre to Un Sim. Yonggi comes up with the cross. No, they battle with it and hooked out of play finally by Colthorpe, who's barely visible.
Important for the Matildas to stay nice and tight in defence here, not give North Korea any opportunities to score.
Well, is the winner going to come in real time? 6.5 minutes to go, perhaps a couple of minutes of extra time. The players now. Concentration must be at an absolute peak. A nice little dink, but it goes out of play, so the pressure's not going to be released. Song Mi needs a windscreen wiper. Oh, puts a useful cross in. Un Sim, and it goes off the thigh of Carroll into the safe arms of Barbieri. And as well as Norrie, Joe at home would be feeling the pressure knotted on though. Gatekill couldn't quite get on the other side. It's still there for Shippard, and thought about going in for the challenge. Didn't want to give away the free kick. Well held off. Tempered excitement, you could call it. It's monsoonal now, the rain. Carroll stalled with the first attempt, and it took a ricochet. Kept in as a result by DPR Korea. The bouncing ball, and Gill a little slow out of the starting blocks, but gathers momentum to put the pressure on. And now an error from DPR Korea. And is this going to be the moment for Australia? 5 minutes to go. It's all locked up in teeming rain in Chengdu.
Well, it's absolutely bucketing down here, and the ball's going to be slippery. The conditions are slippery.
Polkinghorn, can she get the cross in? Oh, she does, but she can't cut it back enough. Kaya Simon was waiting all on a lonesome in the middle, and now Un Sim something to chase. It's a long way away from her. Scurrying across as Uzenla only gets 3/4 of it, but it was well directed out wide on the right by Shippard. Good place, and now Australia find some space. Here goes Garriock. Can she deliver it in? Not quite enough weight for Gill on the far post. Back to McCallum, and bumping and grinding both teams, putting their bodies on the line. Ball forward, DPR Korea to their credit, are still battling away, but they haven't got a great number of players forward at the moment. So although the ball is lost by Kellon Knight, comes in again. Carroll is back. Oh, she doesn't hook it out of play, but there are enough teammates back her are there, and it ricochets off DPR Korea for a goal kick. Oh.
It's a bit like that, isn't it? Hard in your mouth type stuff. As the rain absolutely teams down, this is going to make conditions very difficult, and probably in the last 1 or 2 minutes you can see neither team is very keen to try and get the ball down under control. It's just been about trying to help it on, cause the defence some problems, because when that ball's bouncing and spinning and turning, you never know what can happen, and it's going to be very difficult to get a hold of the ball in these conditions down there.
Well, Barbieri and Janita a lot behind. It's not easy to nail the goal kicks as well, and it only goes as far as Ra'un Sim. Shippard does well to tackle from behind, and effectively, if she wanted to get the ball, she does. Colthorpe just spoons it down the right edge. Simon needed to be a bit the other side of the opponent, but they don't concede the ball, although they do now. The pass was a little awry.
There's a lot of space out on the left there for Heather Garriock, and we just saw Sally Shippard's pass go astray there, but if the Australians can continue getting the ball out to this side, there is space for Heather to go at those players, and maybe Kellon Knight to get her around her for an overlap and then crosses in the box.
Well, if it goes in and out, is it going to be throw it again? It might have gone in and out. Three and a half minutes of real time to go. Perhaps a bit more, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of injury time. Is the winner going to come despairingly for one team? We'll wait to see. McCallum still goes vigorously. Gee, the legs must be tired after all the games. Bertuzenla does well, but control to lose McCallum. She climbs all over the player. In hard goes Caulfield. She can't come up with it. A chance for DPR Korea. Ra'un Sim can seal it. Can't get the shot in. Well blocked by Uzenla on the track back. Or was it McCallum? I think it was McCallum. Brilliant tackle back. As now DPR Korea go again, and it's punched in. Dangerous ball. Was that a handball? Surely a handball. The flag's up.
The linesman looks like she's called offside there, but it did look like a hint of a handball when it went into the DPR Korea striker. A few tentative moments for the Australian team, and again, when we're trying to break out a defence here,
that's a yellow card.
That was very handy, very handy.
Well, she should be off. That's 2 fouls and a yellow card. Ball knotted on. Australia now trying to gain some possession, and Ra'un Sim, the ball scoops off the foot, and this will need to be cleared out by Kellon Knight. It is, and we're struggling to see the players. It's like a horse race in Britain with a deep fog over the course at the moment, but we'll try and get it right for in the final minutes. They push wide again, and she's found space all day. Yi Gong pumps in the early ball. A header up, it's not gone yet. Ra'un Sim, can she get a foot on it? It's at the foot now, and it's no penalty. Play on. It's still there for DPR Korea. They can't hook it towards goal, and Australia scramble it away.
Good to see Australia scramble that ball away, but they're under a little bit of pressure here. They need to hold this DPR Korea side out.
Last minute of real time, plus time added on, and they have scrambled the ball out, but you can see the water just gathering on the field, and that's going to cause some concern. You want to play territory. You want to be in at the other end of the park. Garriock now under pressure. They all are. Gee, what's 30 minutes of extra time going to do? Are we going to get there? The throw-in is made, and deep skill from the 21. Pumps it in near post. It takes a ricochet. It's a corner. It's a corner, and she is a dangerous player, Song Jong-sun. And Barbieri with the cap on will need the wipers. And she tried to keep it in. She knew it had taken the ricochet, and Australia with a critical moment in terms of their ambition to win the Asian Cup in teeming rain. Puddles gathering. Last minutes of the game, last moments, we're in time added on. Can the cross come in? 4 minutes of extra time, 4 minutes, and Australia somehow break. Simon's offside downfield, now it's a 3-on-2. Can they put it through to Simon? They can. Will the ball hold up? Oh, Simon steps over it. The pace was there for Simon. She needed to drive harder for the ball. That was crucial. It was a brilliant ball through. Unfortunately, she couldn't gather it in the stride. It was a 3-on-2. Shippard, brilliant play.
Again, you know, the ball just skidding on in these wet conditions. Sally just needed to maybe take a little bit off that pass into Kaya Simon. There was a 3-on-2 and a very good opportunity for Australia.
And now it's a one-on-one. Barbieri has to come off the line to kick it. No, she waits coolly. Oh dear, Ra-Un Sim. Looks like she's got roller skates on.
It's hard to tell in these conditions whether the ball is actually going to skid on. There's some puddles forming on the field, or whether it's going to hold up in one of those puddles.
Simon tries to knock it on. Looks like a handball from DPR Korea defence, trying to thread it downfield. They're just playing speculative football at the moment, so the pattern's gone out. They try and restructure. They've got 3 across the centre, and it looks pretty good. Chasing back, Colthorpe is forced to charge back now as Garriock missed out the opportunity. It comes in far post. They queue up. Carroll with a booming header. It only goes as far as the DPR Korea, the replacement player, Chol Mi, and now back into the centre again. The heads go up. It's headed wide.
Oh, some tense moments there again. DPR Korea had 4 attackers in the box there, getting that ball in here. We see a free header. Probably a bit of a let-off for the Matildas there. Oh, she just slipped in the mud. Thank you to that mud pile in there, because she was in a very dangerous position, right in front of goal with no one marking her.
Well, 2 minutes to go before extra time. And, the way the last couple of minutes have been going, it'd be great for Australia to get there. DPR Korea threaten again. Can they snatch the goal that's going to win the game for them? Ball in the centre and just hooked away nonchalantly by Carroll again. Oh, it's hard to gain the ground in the middle slot. It's a swamp now. And out wide it goes to Song Jong Sun, another venomous cross in, and DPR Korea, can they get on the end of it? It sits up, the drive comes in just wide, well, wide enough from Chol Mi. It went a good 5 metres wide. She has some dismay on her face, but it would have been a brilliant effort from long range. 1.5 minutes to go.
And the Matildas have absorbed some good pressure, and they need to continue to do this and just see themselves into the end of the game. And then they've got another 15 minutes each way where they can really come on again, get themselves composed, and go at DPR Korea.
Well, Barbieri soaking up the clock, so we've got 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go, and the ball down over halfway. And DPR Korea with perhaps one last thrust down the edge. There's only 1-on-3 in the centre. Chasing back as Carroll plays at the Barbieri and goes for territory down the side. Oh, it almost falls for Gill. It's going to come back again. Australia with just half a minute to hold out to get to extra time. That's how it's looking at the moment. 1-1 the score in Chengdu. Gill. Is there going to be one last gasp again? Kaya Simon's waiting upfield. And now the ball pumped in. Here's danger for Australia. Headed away by Uzun-La, or Colthorpe it was. And now back to McCallum. And it's going to stick in the mud. Keller Knight thunders it downfield. Gill can't get near the ball. It goes back again. Uzun-La has to scurry to make it. And it's like a pinball parlour at the moment. Back in again it goes. They're just playing the speculative balls. And this one is just going to skid dead. It does.
You can see neither team. And
there it is. It's extra time in the 2010 Asian Cup final. And Australia led 1-0 for a long time. They conceded a goal and then 30 seconds later had a chance to peel off what would have been the winning goal. But we're going to extra time. And then the dreaded, the fascinating, the exciting penalties. But who knows whether we'll get to that. A quick comment, Alicia. We'll go back to the studio briefly and then we'll return. There's 5 minutes for the teams.
Again, a good opportunity for the Australians just to get together, get themselves composed again. They've been under a fair bit of pressure, and then go at this DPR Korea team. They've got 2 15-minute periods. There's plenty of time to score.
That's full time after 90 minutes of action and extra time. It's Australia 1, DPR Korea 1.
After 90 minutes of play, the score is tied at 1-1, so the game will be going into extra time. I'll just explain what that means to all of our viewers out there. 30 minutes, 15 minutes each way, a straight swap over at half-time, and if the score is still tied at the end of that 30 minutes, we'll be going to penalties. It's not golden goal, so they will be playing right through that 30 minutes. Where do we start with this second half, boys? I think we saw torrential rain, plenty of chances for Korea, probably outweighing the Australian chances, and a totally different game to the first half.
Yeah, well, there was a period there where you really expected Korea to get a goal. I think we were just sort of sitting back, probably defending a little bit too much, and I think they did deserve to get the equaliser. But as soon as they did score, we had a great chance to go down the other end and take the lead again. But unfortunately, that we didn't do it, and let's hope that we can get something in extra time.
It shouldn't all be so glum. We do have 30 minutes to try and score another goal and to take this Asian Cup. Of course, the good news is both these teams are through to the Women's World Cup, and anyone that thought this final wasn't going to be competitive sure has it wrong. Winning the Asian Cup and obviously having that title for yourself is very, very important. We will take a look at some of the highlights from the second half shortly, or right now, in fact. It was a much more even contest in the second half. As we said, the Aussies' weakness being from crosses, and DPR Korea's goal came from that. The defender was just out-jumped, Matt.
Yeah, look, it was one of those things. It was coming, like Paul said. They definitely had a few opportunities beforehand, and it's an unfortunate thing. I mean, just before they did score, we had a couple of chances down the other end to make it 2 and 3. So, look, it's probably a missed opportunity, but like you said, we have another 30 minutes to correct our mistakes in that second half, and I'm hopeful the girls can do it.
In the first half, Australia looked very tight defensively, very tight across the park as a unit. We talked at half-time about lots of chances up front, about lots of players getting forward, about keeping compact as a unit, and we did that. We got a lot of balls in the box. It just seemed like the second half that all went out the window.
Yeah, well, that generally tends to happen, especially if one team is behind, as DPR Korea was going into the second half, and the game does get stretched. And we did have chances to go 2 and 3-0 up, and at the end of the day, if you don't take your chances and the other team, has a bit of possession, and DPR Korea in the first half was dangerous on crosses, and Servette was out jumped there, unlucky. She probably gave away a little bit of height difference, but after they did score, we had a great chance, probably the best chance of the game, to go 2-1 up, and unfortunately Claire put it wide. So disappointing, but there is another half an hour, and I'm sure Tommy will make some substitutions now, because the girls did look like they were getting quite tired.
Well, obviously, playing an extra 30 minutes is going to have a huge impact on both these teams mentally and physically. What are the implications of that mentally?
Oh, look, it's draining. I mean, there's nothing worse than being up 1-0 and obviously going into the end of game 1, or knowing you have to play another 30 minutes. But like Paul just touched on then, I'm sure Tommy Samani will make a few changes, I'm guessing. They did look a bit tired towards the end there. I think we need a few fresh legs, and that you see the replay there, that was one of the opportunities there that would have made it 2-0. But no, like we've said over and over again, 30 minutes to go, and a few changes, we might have ourselves winning our first AFC tournament.
And physically, the extra time takes its toll too. We'll probably see a few players with cramp. We've discussed before that the Koreans went into extra time against China to win their game. So although they have that experience under their belt, surely fatigue has to be setting in for them as well. Yeah,
definitely. But they probably had more of the momentum towards the end of the game. So they'll probably be feeling, as a consequence of that, the fatigue a little bit less. But sure, it'll be in both teams. This tired factor, but it's half an hour, and the girls just have to continue to give everything they've got, because there is a trophy here to be won.
There sure is, and a title to take home. You can only speculate on how this game would have gone had we had the likes of Devana and Sarah Walsh up front. Yeah,
well, again, the opportunities that we did have, I'm sure that with those girls earlier, they might have taken a different option and been up 2-0. But look, taking nothing away from the girls, they've put in a fantastic effort tonight, and it's not over. They're going to do the best they can. We see the Korean goal here, and the celebrations of the Koreans when they scored this goal, it was almost like they'd won the Asian Cup, not that they just brought it back to a draw to start clean. I think one thing the Aussies definitely do have up their sleeves, DPR Korea has already made 2 changes out of the 3 allowed, and the Aussies have only made the 1, which we saw young 16-year-old Samantha Kerr replaced by Kaya Simon. She hasn't really found a feed out there yet, though, has she, Paul? No, she hasn't, and she was... she come on at a time where it's quite difficult to get into the game. The conditions aren't good, and
you know, your first few touches as a replacement are important, but you know, she's got enough time now to you know, get into the game and try and add something, because and it's a very, very important period now.
It is, and if you were Tom Sermanni, what would you be asking from the girls right now? You've got a couple of, you know, quick seconds to give them some last-minute instructions. Yeah, well, no, don't give up. I mean, that's obviously the Australian spirit is to play till the end, and the girls are doing a fantastic job out there at the moment. It's just, like I said, it's unfortunate to go up 1-0 and then obviously come back at the end of the game having to go out there for another half an hour because you've conceded a goal, you know, the way they did, or for whatever reason. But look, like I said, I'm sure Tommy will make a few changes to get some fresh legs out there, and they definitely can do the job. OK, well, we cross back now to Peter Wilkins and Alicia Ferguson for that 30 minutes of extra time.
15 minutes of extra time each way, and as you can see, the field is venturing into the unplayable stakes. Now, there are a couple of rules for that regard, should they deem that so. You can halt conditions for half an hour, and then you can assess in another half an hour and then hold it for another half an hour. So we could be here all night. But my inclination or my belief is that they'll let it go. But what happens when the penalty shootout happens? Look how bedraggled the areas are looking. I'm getting ahead of myself. 15 minutes of extra time if the penalty shootout happens.
That's right. Look, the field's not in fantastic condition, but I've seen far worse, to be honest, and on numerous occasions. So I don't think they'll be halting this game anytime soon. They'll want it done and dusted. Both teams will want it done and dusted tonight, that's for sure.
Now, DPR Korea again threatening in the early moments of extra time. Full 15 minutes each way, and haven't they done well? Ball inside, and again the needle is almost threaded, and the shot comes in and looks good, and hits the post. Oh, unbelievable attempt! It still hasn't gone clear, and really, Yuhi almost came up with a delightful strike on goal. Yeon-hee, I should say.
A little dink in there. Oh, Melissa Barrieri was stranded there, had absolutely no chance of getting to that one. And, well, a little bit of a let-off from the Matildas, but happy to see that one hit the post, and maybe the gods are shining on us after all.
Yeon-hee onto the field, and she hasn't scored a goal so far in the tournament. But, that would have been a decisive moment. Australia, honking horn. You could see the exertion. We're going to get every extra centimetre out of the throw. It is a little push in the back, a little nudge, and a free kick goes DPR Korea's way, soaking the stadium, the players. Not many of the fans, must be said. McCallum back to Colthorpe. It's just hard to reach the ball downfield. He's got some condition in the knees, which wouldn't be too pleasant at the moment after playing all the game time she's had. Australia, can they conjure up another opportunity, or they miss their golden moment? Or two golden moments. Kellon Knight pressured, and the ball goes free to Chong Sim, although it goes all the way over the byline.
I think what Tommy would have said to the girls at the end of the game there was, let's just settle it down. We have had opportunities, and I think we're going to get some more towards the end of this game. It's going to open up the conditions are very, very difficult to play. Both teams will start getting heavy, and the Australians have a couple more substitutes up their sleeve to maybe bring on some fresh legs, depending on how it goes in this first 15 minutes. I think both teams will just want to sort each other out again, not give anything away, and see if an opportunity presents itself.
Well, DPR Korea, they still get these players lurking on the fringes, causing some danger. And Barrieri called into play again. Chips it comfortably downfield. Rie Gyong all over it. Shipard, dangerous pass under pressure. And McCallum does very, very well. And then gives the ball away after doing so. And an example of how it sticks in the mud. Rasim it's not a down by the defence. Australia have the numbers back, and so there wasn't really any great concern, but you don't know the way the ball's going to bounce. Tip forward for Polkinghorn to chase. It's there for her. It's a one-on-one. She gobbles up the metres. She's going to pull it back. Garriock comes in support, and it goes instead away to Kellon Knight. Can she thread the needle to Kaya Simon on the far post? And Kaya Simon is there. Oh, half hits it. She snatched at the ball. It was behind her. It was too difficult.
And we can just see in a couple of those situations here, it's very difficult for the players out there to predict how the ball's going to fly. Kellon Knight, this ball just skids off the surface, and Kaya Simon just scuffs her shot and has an easy save for the goalkeeper. But there's some very, very muddy patches in there where you can see the ball sticking in the mud, and then at other times it's skidding along the grass.
Kellon Knight. Oh, she falls over the ball, tries to take it away from her opponent lying on the deck. There's one fewer defender. Ball goes wide. Oh, Jong Sun, she's dangerous. Carroll's in front, doesn't take her on. Far post ball, danger, and the optimistic shot from the number 9 goes wide. Ri Yong was going for about a 52%er.
Oh, yeah, ball. She was just ghosting into the far post there and didn't really get too much on it. But again, dangerous when the Australians are giving the ball away. The transition of the DPR career team is very quick, and it is causing us some problems when we're getting caught out.
If it's any consolation, the rain has subsided just a fraction. Visibility is still extremely poor. You can see that long river. It looks like it's running down the middle from the centre of the goal to the other end. So it's going to be very inconvenient should something happen in the goal mouth. It's thundered downfield by Barbieri. Gill knocks it back to Colthorpe. Where's the player in support? Sally Shippard just reefs it down the other end of the park.
It's tough for any of those players in midfield to try and get the ball down and start the play. You can see not too many of them are very keen to actually get the ball down or take more than 1 or 2 touches, because it just sticks under your feet and it's very unpredictable in there.
Now, you see replacements threatening. And it's going to be McCallum coming off and Ivy Lewick coming on. Holds a degree in geography, in science, and she comes on for a critical moment. McCallum's done well, the workhorse, but the legs so fatigued, she leaves the arena. And Lewick comes on, ball into the area and nodded forward, and it's going to go away for a corner kick. And once again, Australia in their area of vulnerability concede a corner. We've had not quite half of the first period of extra time, 1-1 at full time. Can DPR Korea steal the lead? It's going to be Cholmi. The corner kick. Moves it in, it's another dangerous one. Headed away, there's no one downfield. Australia had everyone inside the area, just about everyone inside the 6-yard box. It goes back in once more. Un Sim tries to leap high. Remember, they're doing it without their captain. She went off injured. Zhou Yunmi, the goal scorer. And it was a great header as well, bringing her tally to 3 for the tournament. Equal leader. Now Shippard, big run from Garriock, and she's away. Heather Garriock is away down the left side. Beautiful run, stands on it. And Kellon Knight comes up, or rather Lewick comes up in support. And the fresh legs going hard. Can't thread the needle away to Garriock. Promising move down the left. And DPR Korea are going to respond. Well, Barbieri's way off the line here. She has to troop back. And the ball sticks in the mud. And it's Elise Kellon Knight that gathers back. And I'm not sure about those back passes down the centre slot.
Yeah, it's not great conditions to be passing the ball back into Barbieri there, but on that occasion she was under no pressure, so it wasn't too much concern. Good run before by Heather Garriock, though, into that space, and unfortunately the Matildas just couldn't thread through the DPR Korea defence.
And it was Kellon Knight with some neat skills on the ball, but once again it bounces back like it's the tennis wall in the schoolyard. It just keeps on coming back. Garriock again tracks down the left side, and it's out of play throw-in, so working the edge didn't pay dividends. And the coach, Kwang Mun Kim, he got the role in September 2007 right here in Chengdu, and drew 2-2 with the US. The draw's not going to do it for either side here. Here is Gill battling hard losing out for want of trying. Oh, there's a header. Oh, and Kim Carroll. And this is really teeth-gnashing stuff from the Matildas as they can't clear it. Who's going to make it theirs? Lewick comes across. And she's going to take on the player. And Lewick gets into overdrive to try and hold out the defender or the attacker. She's brought down. Still Lewick does well to come up with the ball. And the throw-in given away. She had to crack on the pace. She knew the skills of Song Jong-sun. She's seen them in the tournament so far. And despite these sloppy conditions, she had the accelerator down.
And we can see Ivy Lewick's just come into the inner three in midfield. So the Australians have gone back to their...
Oh, dangerous ball across. Barbieri should have it covered, does so.
As I was saying, the Australians are going back to their 4-3-3 formation. They really do have everything to play for here. So see if they can put a bit more pressure on DPR Korea in the attacking sense.
And Simon working hard and bringing down the opponent, giving away another free kick. It was a little bit of a clumsy challenge.
So, yeah, Kellen Knight really had run herself into the ground. She was looking quite fatigued there and just a little bit vulnerable.
And struggling with a boot is Simon, and she's pushed down fortuitously, one feels. She was struggling to gain a feet. Maybe the extra length sprigs might have been due tonight, but conditions abominable for the players at the Chengdu Sports Centre, which won't be seeing too much action in a while before they stitch up the field after this tournament. It is going in concave fashion, some of the divots. Now, Australia with Uzunla. Oh, here's one for Gill to flick it on. And Polkinghorne looked to be slightly offside, in an offside position prior to that, of course. But Australia might be able to come back again. Colthorpe, a little bit of a switch, back to the left. Neat skills, Garriock. And here's Ledbrook. His fresh legs, they could be telling in the final analysis. Australia has already looked a little bit sharper on the ball, but they don't want to surrender it like that. And they get away with it. Lewick. Ledbrook calls for it, goes instead for the more difficult option, back to Carroll. Just pumps it down the left. Oh, Garriock does well to keep it in and works hard, looking for the free kick, and drags two in and releases it away to Lewick. And lurking wide on the right is Simon. And the ball, well, it struggles to get there. It needs a postage stamp on it. It wouldn't stick. And now, again, they threaten Barbieri off the line. Will make it hers. And she is keeping well, Melissa Barbieri, too. She doesn't want to get anchored with some of those attackers running and her defenders sort of floundering. So she's sensing those long balls coming through and playing a very good goalkeeper's game as now DPR Korea make a substitution. The 13 comes off and the 20,
needs to keep patrolling at the top of her area there. When those balls skid through that DPR are playing in behind the Australian defence, it's important that she's on her game in case it holds up, in case it skids through, so she can get to it first and clear it.
Last couple of minutes of extra time. A DPR Korea going to fashion a chance. It was almost a decisive through ball. Just well intercepted by Australia.
And apart from that one early chance that DPR Korea had, you know, they haven't had too much going on as well. They've still been putting the Australian team under a fair bit of pressure, had a little bit more possession. But again, it's very difficult for both of these teams to actually get the ball down and play under these conditions. And as the field continues to deteriorate and the rain keeps falling, they're very difficult conditions to predict how the ball's going to bounce, how it's going to spin, how it's going to roll on, or whether it holds up in the mud, which there's becoming a lot of it out there as well.
Well, in their 3 wins, DPR Korea, they've made one trip to extra time against China in 2003. They won that match 2-1. Australia's one trip to the final. They lost on penalties. Who knows what's going to happen? It is just even Stevens right at this moment. The free kick going Australia's way, and Uzunla. What a performer. And there was the little grab from behind and pull down and a little theatrical dive from Uzunla, but it does win a little bit of relief.
And looking forward, if this game does go into penalties, you have to take into consideration the fatigue factor. It takes a lot of concentration to step up under pressure and try and put the ball past that goalkeeper. It looks a lot easier than it is.
Now Simon wins the ball downfield. And now Australia here, they've got to hem DPR Korea in. And maybe see if they can win the ball and create an opportunity. They've only got 10 seconds to go. That might prevent that sort of theory. And one last hurrah. Oh, Garriock, neat past the Gill. Can't quite get on the right side of it. And it should be the end of the first period. Ledbrook, he's going to pump it in. And it goes across the centre almost. Come back again. Scooped across the middle to Lewick. Tries to find Garriock down the left. Oh, handball. We'll let you get away with that one, Heather. Only one. A wry smile from the veteran Australian defender, Heather Garriock. 118 internationals to her credit.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky there, Heather. Just unfortunately hit the top of her arm, but a good ball in. She was in good position. If that actually came off her chest, she was basically one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
Now it's scooped downfield, and we watch the heads go up. And again, these speculative balls in. DPR career, are they going to snatch a goal in the last seconds? Surely time is up in this first period of extra time. It says 15:57 on our clock. I'm not sure that there's been any injury time, has there? There should be. Where's the timekeeper? What's going on?
I think they take into consideration you get 30 seconds per substitution.
Oh, here is a free ball, and Gill strides out. Can she make the release? Garriock onside. In the middle is Kaya Simon. She had a dip at it and almost missed it completely, but she only got about 25% of the boot on it. Oh, wouldn't that have been a blow? Well, right in the seconds here. I beg your pardon. Of course, they are on a little bit of time, but our clock was really hustling towards the 17-minute mark, and so no pause here. They're just going to swing around. That's the rule. Some, of course, will go to the edge and get some thirst-quenching activity. 1-1, but that's certainly not in the rules. But I think they bend them a little bit to realise how much the players are fatiguing and how much they deserve a drink. So this is one where you feel the game a little bit. They will go to the edge and they'll have about a minute or two to take some drink.
It is a duty of care with the players, you know, after playing a full 90 minutes and then with the added extra time under very tough conditions. The legs will be heavy out there. There'll definitely be some of the players that are cramping up in the calves, and it's just about who has that stamina to keep on going, who believes that they can maybe nick a goal, and then if it gets into a penalty shootout, who's got the resolve and the composure. We've come back before, we do it the hard way, and I think we can get these. I have a good feeling about it. I've got a good feeling about this 15 minutes.
All right. Alicia Ferguson, former player, involved in Australia's last final 4 years ago in Adelaide, v China. It's DPR Korea, the opponent today. And we're now in that zone where half of you was thinking, let's get the goal, and the other half is thinking penalties. But 15 minutes is a long time. DPR Korea haven't seen this field for quite some time, about 60 minutes. Likewise the other team as well, Australia. 1-1 it is. Song Mi. Shepard still going strong.
We can see Sally's just slotted back into that right full-back position, which made room for Kylie Ledbrook and Ivy Lewick just in the central midfield to try and get a few more attacking options going forward.
And Ledbrook wins out, but only concedes the throw-in. Ledbrook, who left the game for 4 years as well to further her career in restaurant management, and had to watch the 2007 World Cup. Oh, here's DPR Korea with a little bit of a chance it should roll harmlessly away. But Ledbrook has come back. Yeah, she sat at home to watch 2007 and definitely missed the game, but equally said she didn't make the wrong decision. The W League has dragged her back into the equation, Sydney FC, and she's been a star and worked her way back into the top grade now. And
that's a great indication that something like the W League can actually bring back those experienced players and create some depth within the league. And, you know, unfortunately...
Through ball, oh, Barbieri has to hook it. Oh no, it almost ricocheted in. It was an unbelievable error from Australia, which almost had a cataclysmic outcome.
Geez, the heart was in the mouth in that situation there. They're the ones that you don't want to see. Oh, just ricocheted off her. And, oh, geez, from this angle, it probably looked, a lot closer. That was close enough for me.
Yon Hee. Well, the ball was in the mouth as well almost for Yon Hee, but she has been a danger since she's come onto the field. And Barbieri, well, in the end, good decision. No damage done. 1-1. Oh, that would have been absolutely despairing to see it.
Would have been absolutely heartbreaking.
Well, play on, Shippard. Neat touch. And Simon tried the flick. Gill's going to cover the keeper. And it forces the ball out of play from Ju Hyung-Hui. And so Australia, in the gloom, in the mist of a Chengdu evening, even later in Australia, have a chance to mount some attack. Shippard works it across fields. Lewick tries to thread it to Shippard, and she goes and wins the throw, does she? Oh, I'm not sure that Shippard got a whole lot of the play. I think the ball, in another 50-50 challenge, went the way of Shippard with the throw. Let's have a look at a replay. Oh, yeah, maybe she did get her.
Just missed the ball, caught the player.
She didn't get much of the player.
No, look, it was probably neither here nor there. Neither here nor there.
All right, ball downfield. And back is Shippard again. Scoop forward. These are the balls that seem to find Australia out a little bit. The ones into the defender, the attackers lurking, and then those square balls. As we watch Australia hustling hard, Garriock nearly checked off the ball by the replacement, Yon-Suk. And back it goes to Carroll again. Tries to get a lot of meat on the bat. Oh, she's forced to go again. Tackles from behind. Gives away the free kick. But she got all the ball. But the tackle from behind and the decision not favouring Australia. Gee, that was a 50-50 ball, and they're looking to quickly take it. They're not going for goal. They're going the angled approach. The square ball comes in. Oh, it's dangerous at the far post. It's headed away by Gill, who's back, and Simon just gets a tickle on, but Polkinghorne is away, steaming after the ball. She makes the commitment and wins the throw-in. The defender grimly chasing the ball. Yong Sim, the 19-year-old, and now hustles back into position. She's had a good game as well. Shippard with the throw. Down the edge. Good throw. Simon has to chase harder. He's going to want to let that go out of play, and Simon not committing herself in the right fashion perhaps on reflection, but it's easy to play the game from up here.
That's exactly right, but I agree. Kai Simon probably could have put her under a little bit more pressure earlier on. She's got the pace to take on these defenders, and she can do that, and I'd like to see her. Again, I think in this tournament she's had the opportunity to get the ball at her feet, but hasn't quite looked, you know, sharp and wanting to take players on, and that's what she's very, very good at.
Well, the ball went past two green and gold Matildas and into the DPR career possession. Poor clearance from DPR. And Shippard gets a graze on the head from Yi Gong. And it's not angled well enough forward by the workhorse in Claire Polkinghorne. And so Australia in the deep end of a nail-biting contest. 10 minutes to go before, dare we say it, penalties. But are we going to see the winner? Which team is it going to favour if it is going to come in the next 10 minutes? Heart-wrenching stuff for both teams. They've put a lot of effort in. Both teams have been in camp for really on and off for most of the year, preparing through tournaments, preparing through matches. They're into the final now. Simon battles hard. 2 back for DPR, 3 now, as even Ri Yi-Gyong is downfield. And Ra-Un Sim now challenging, threads the needle and does it well. It goes away to Yon Hee. No trouble for the Australian keeper.
And happy to see that in Melissa Barbieri's arms. But what we can see from DPR Korea, when they are breaking out from the back, they're actually getting it into their strikers' feet. They're holding up, and then they're building the attack and going at the Australian defence. And, you know, we've got to take a little bit of a leaf out of their book in that sense. We need to get the ball into our strikers, keep possession, and then start building the attack, which we haven't done up until now.
Oh, no. Chance for DPR Korea. Ra-Un Sim away. Look at Carroll putting in the large ones. Un Sim into the area. She'll check off the left foot. She's going to shoot. It's ricocheted off the shape of Carroll. She does well to hold her composure and get the leg out. And they come again, DPR Korea, looking for the winner. Or the goal that will put them in with a chance of winning. It could well be the winner. Was it going to be a long-range shot? They feed it to the right again. Danger time once more. And the cross, oh, it's on feet. Is it going to be hooked in? It's hooked away by Australia. Polkinghorne. Upfield is Simon. A good swivel, but she loses the footing again. Goes in hard. Misses out. Cho Young Sim. And again they get themselves into a knot. Shippard, oh, good skills from Sally Shippard. Who's downfield? Gill's far post, and Polkinghorne looks for her. Gill chases. Can she get on the end of it? The keeper a little bit slow off the line, but the ball skidded off the turf. It didn't advantage the Matildas.
Better from Kaya Simon there. You know, she was looking to square the defender up and knock it past her. Unfortunately, just lost her footing and a little bit slippery.
Ball through, 1-on-2. Australia, what are they going to do? Ra-Un Sim feeds it away to the goal scorer, Zhou Junmi. And now they take stock. It's back to Yun Suk. And they're working around, looking for the player who's going to strike the decisive blow. Headed down and away, and Garriock wins the throw-in. Kim Carroll back in defence, so too Colthorpe, and really guarding the chamber well.
And the game really is opening up, you know, as fatigue sets in, gaps start appearing, and this is where the concentration levels need to be at their highest. But this is where the concentration is at its toughest. When the legs hurt, when you're cramping, there's only a few minutes left to play. Really important that every single player out there concentrates on their job.
On the ball, here's Ra-Un Sim again. No penalty, but they again get in a knot. And Lewick with some cool play, headed down, and finally Husenla comes out and drives hard. And only goes as far as Polkinghorne. And she rattles after the ball, reflecting the competitive instinct with her brother in the back of the car when she was a youngster. She wouldn't let him get away with anything, and she's trying her heart out. Kaya Simon on the right edge of the field. Most of these players, that's how they were introduced to the game, by younger brothers or friends of the family, kicking the ball in the backyard. Now they're in the theatre of the Asian Cup, and there might be a chance for Gill. Back it goes. Sort of was a speculative drive, but it might come off. All the way is Garriock. Can she loop across? And she does. Near post. Gill goes in. Keeper goes up. Makes the save. And the one real threatening move for Australia with 6 or 7 minutes to go comes unstuck. Not for want of trying. They're going to win a throw in, Australia. So a moment of territory in possession. Or did that come off? That came off.
You can see the players here just slowly walking over to get the ball. At this stage in a game, when everyone's quite tired, you don't want to make any mistakes. You don't want to take too many risks. And to be honest, when you get into a penalty shootout, it really is a 50-50 ball game.
And now Simon almost getting the better of opponent. He chases and it ricochets off her despairingly out of play. 1-1 still. And the effort reflected in all the players' faces from both teams. It's been a gritty, tough, sort of hard-working game. You've earned the bonuses, both teams, as modest as they may be. But now the DPR Korean coach, Kwang Min Kim, rises to his feet to exhort his charges for a little extra effort with 5 minutes to go before penalties. Can Australia snaffle the winner and steal a first Asian Cup? It goes to Polkinghorne, to Simon. Oh, just scuffs it again, Simon. Upfield now, it's with Lauren Colthorpe, a 3-on-1, and it's Ra-Un Sim looking to get away, and Sim is on. It is Kim Carroll who chases, and Sim comes back inside, does she? The defence swarm and hold her out and do well. Oh, it's stoic stuff from the Matildas. Can they keep it going? Once more, it doesn't come in. It goes off the outside of the boot and a throw-in.
Good chasing back from Kim Carroll there, and Savet Uzenla didn't allow the DPR career striker to make the decision to get a shot on goal and forced her back out and then forced them into the mistake.
Well, now it's a pressure time for DPR career. It's just pressed over the edge of the field as well. 4 minutes to go before penalties, and well, a little bit of deja vu for Australia, although in fact only Melissa Barbieri is out there from the people impacted on that particular penalty shootout, I do believe.
Yeah,
we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
And it was a difficult memory, that one. You know, I think we had the game in the bag and unfortunately let China back into it.
Well, Sally Shippard was there. I made a slight error. She took a penalty successfully, and now it's going to go in. Colette McCallum had a miss, but she's off the field. But DPR career challenging. We might have spoken too soon. There's still only 3.5 minutes to go. Player well offside here. Well offside, the player. the 14, although she was ghosting into a passive position.
You can just see how much this means to all the Australian players on both teams. There was about 4 or 5 of the Matildas streaming back in defence. Kylie Ledbrook, Heather Garriock, who's probably done, seems like about 20 Ks of running in this game, but still trying to get back behind the ball and not give DPR Career a sniff of even getting a goal.
And back is Lewick again, not with the utmost of confidence behind the ball. But she got it away. It still hasn't been released, and Ra-Un Simmer's lurking again down that left edge. It's taken well on the chest of Lewick and pumped downfield. That's a great ball, sending Garriock away. Oh, gee, it's a hard battle to stride out after so much play. We're coming up to the 120-minute mark, and
this is where your legs feel like they're basically covered in cement, and it's just your will and you want that keeps you going, and probably a little bit of the adrenaline at this stage of a game after so long in tough conditions where, you know, it's a heavy field to play on, and after all the tournament play as well, you're really feeling it.
Here's Garriock. No one's in the centre, and DPR Career can just ease it away down the left side. And they do. It's Uzenla comes in to effect the challenge. And the second one comes from Ledbrook, ineffective on Ra-Un Sim. And they create again through the dangerous Song Yong Sun. Ball, though, not one of her best. You'd probably excuse her at this end of the game. Atrocious conditions in Chengdu. Last 2 minutes of extra time. Penalties loom. Is the winner going to come? Is it going to be DPR Career to snatch another one? Another Asian Cup. It's Ra-Un Sim, the danger player. Gets on the right foot. Will she chance a shot? Squares it. And it's thundered out. Well read by Lewick. And it's not going to go out of play. And Polkinghorne now has a little bit of a chance. Simons offside. And Gill makes the run through. Gill, she's on. It's going to be one-on-one. Can she get there? And it's been brought down. It's a free kick, surely. A tackle from behind. Where's the free kick? Where's the free kick? She's battling still. Kate Gill. And now punches it back to Sally Shippard. Last moments. Can Australia snatch the victory? DPR Career under pressure. And finally, they managed to drag it away. We're inside the last minutes. Polkinghorne pokes the foot out at Shippard, gathers it from somewhere. Garriock can't find the legs to get across. You can hardly blame her. And scurrying is the replacement player, Yong Suk. Across fields, it goes into the path of Chol Mi, and downfield again, and chasing back as Carroll. Oh, Carroll, she almost comes up with the error. It ricochets again. Here's a battle, and surely it's going to be a free kick to Australia. Surely.
Yeah, I think they pulled up a handball for that one on the DPR Career striker, but some hair-raising moments for the Matildas there, and just prior to that, we can see, yeah, it just came off her hand. And then a little bit of a tussle between Melissa Barbieri and the striker there. But, I mean, just prior to that, Katie Gill made that run in behind. I thought as well with you, Wilco, she may have just got a touch on that and got brought down in a great position. It would have been for a free kick, but wasn't given. But it was a close one. And we've got 1 minute of added on time to go before we go to penalty shootout.
1 minute before the shootout. And the ball downfield, it's not a great clearance. And who's back there but Shippard to tuck it down for Simon to chase. Oh, can history repeat again? Can she find something? Is the pace in the legs? She's going to take them on. Beats one. Ball out of play. And Australia is just going to have a moment here where they can steal it at the very death. It would be grand larceny if they managed to take it. But the throw-in, in fact, did take a ricochet. Oh, look at Polkinghorne. It's as though she's got the fresh legs. The 21-year-old still going, and a moment for Uzenla does well. Who's in the midfield tracking back? It's Ledbrook. Tries to find Polkinghorne again. The runner's on the outside. Good skill taking off the ball. Free kick, surely. Surely that was a free kick. She was virtually punched to the ground. The referee has the whistle in the pocket, the Japanese referee, Sachiko Yamagishi, and she's going to call up time now and signal penalties, surely. Well, the minutes happened at 16 minutes. There was 1 extra minute added on. The 16's gone. It's time gone. It's all over. We go to penalties.
Well, what a game. What an absolute game. A true final. It's been, you know, there's not have been much in this game. 1-1, the Matildas started with a goal, and then DPR Career made a comeback, and you can see all the players out here are absolutely dead on their feet, but they need to stay on their feet, stay with that concentration level, because we've still got penalties to go and it's anyone's game here. But congratulations to both teams for putting out a good performance under tough conditions in a fantastic Asian Cup. Got all faith in the...
Well, the players now are going to take again a deep breath, and the order is going to be set out. I mentioned before that Tom Samani, the Australian coach who was part of the lineup back in 2006.
And just memories back from 2006, and just looking down at the circle of players, and Tommy's words to us in the middle were, all right, can we just hurry this up because I'm going to miss Wheel of Fortune.
Trying obviously to relax the players.
That's
but,
exactly right.
There's no substitution for the pain you're going to feel when you walk up to the spot too. And well, Australia, one of the last games did manage to call fortuitously was Australia v Uruguay, and that was agonising. Is it going to be a turnaround for the Australian team here in women's fortunes? In 2006, they did lose the penalty shootout. Alicia Ferguson, you know exactly what it was about. You scored one of the penalties that went in the back of the net. Colette McCallum had a miss, and Sally Shippard had a get, and the keeper, the Chinese keeper, saved, or rather, I should say, their strikers kicked all 4 goals.
Yeah, it was a difficult final to lose, particularly because not necessarily from the penalty shootout perspective. As I said, you know, when people walk up to take a penalty, if you've never walked up to the spot with a crowd in a final, you can't really appreciate the amount of pressure and how difficult it actually is to concentrate after you've played all this football. And it was unfortunate we had Colette McCallum miss first up. Joanne Peters unfortunately missed hers as well. I got mine. At that stage, it was pretty much done and dusted. And you know what? That's the way penalty shootouts go. They're heartbreaking things, but it's the way to finish off the game. After this much time added on, when the legs are dead, all you want to do is finish it off and hit the showers.
Well, you'd imagine that Kate Gill would take one, Heather Garriock, Kylie Ledbrook, Sally Shippard in no particular order. Well, it's going to be a real test of nerve, and the Matildas go to the centre of the field, the Chengdu Sports Centre. They've already managed to fashion one unbelievable result here in history in that World Cup, a 2-2 draw with Canada. Is it a charmed ground for them? There's the bench. Robbie Hooker, a very effusive, energetic assistant coach in the bunker. He's the man, he's the comedian, he's the one who relaxes the players, who gets them going in victory and defeat.
That's right. Hooks is renowned for his terrible jokes, and he's been telling him all this tour, as he always does. He kind of reminds you of your grandfather, you know, tells those really obvious jokes, but you can't help but chuckle at him. And again, he is a great character around the team and just has the ability to relax things and keep the attitude of the players upbeat as well.
Well, the draw's been made, and it's going to be the goal scorer, Zhou Yun-Mi, who takes the first. It's Melissa Barbieri's second penalty shootout. I did mention to her beforehand in the early rounds how many she'd been in and what she thought of them, and I reckon she might be due to make a save or two. Barbieri, the Australian captain, it wouldn't go to a more deserving player. Is she going to get Australia off to a good start, or is the 23-year-old Zhou Yun-Mi going to hold a nerve and give DPR Korea the lead? Well, they've picked the better end. It's the less gluey end, if you like, but you can see that patch in front of the keeper, probably not affecting her. She's going to go either side. She's going to pick either side. And so the great theatre of the penalty shootout is upon us in the Asian Cup final yet again. Australia, 2 finals, 2 penalty shootouts. Can they level it up? Barbieri waits like a tarantula, ready to wrap her hands around the ball. First strike is in at the back of the nets.
Good finish from the DPR Korea player. Right in the corner, didn't give Barbieri any chance whatsoever. You can see the ball going away from her, plenty of pace on it, and a really well taken penalty.
Well, it's Sally Shippard, the lady who took time off to walk the world and to find herself, find new experiences. She went on a solo walk in Scotland. I'm wondering whether she ever thought she'd be back in the top grade and back taking a penalty shootout. She's first because she had success in 2006 from the spot. Can she get Australia away to a start and level it up? Shippard moves in, booms into the back of the nets.
Well done, Sally Shippard, and the big smile on the face. You could see when she walked up to that penalty, she was all concentration. Just placed it into the net, plenty of pace on that, sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, and great to see that big smile of Sally Shippard to level the scores 1-1.
And now Yun Song Mi has performed admirably today, but the 18-year-old might never have felt this much pressure, although the junior teams have gone great guns. Now she's asking if that's on the front edge of the spot or and some of it hanging over. She's measuring it up. Moves back. She's not going to waste too much time. Song Mi misses. Clean miss. Not by a small space either. And it is a miss. And no advantage will be Australia's way unless the next one goes into the back of the net.
Sent Barbieri the wrong way, but she's missed by about a metre. And you could see just prior to that, Barbieri coming out, maybe a little bit of gamesmanship, just asking the referee whether the ball was on the spot. It's all about that mental game as well.
Now Kylie Ledbrook, who's already netted from the spot in the tournament, she is a player of great ability. Look at the focus on the ball. This for an Australian lead. Ledbrook moves in, booms it into the back of the net as well. It's 2-1 Australia with the advantage, and now the pressure on the Koreans. The pressure on the Koreans.
Again, we can see, you see this a lot in international football. A lot of players actually do choose to play the ball straight down the middle in a penalty because it's very rare for a goalkeeper not to choose one way or the other. It's such a difficult task trying to guess which way the player's going to hit it. But well taken penalty by Kylie Ledbrook.
And now another youngster, Chae Yong Sim, a 19-year-old, and Barbieri playing the mind game as well. Digging deep. This is really a must-get, you'd think, for DPR Korea to stay in the hunt. She moves in, and Barbieri almost saved it. She was there, got a finger to it, but she nets and levels it up again. Levels it up again.
Very close from Barbieri here. She picked the right way. Oh, was at a good height too. Just snuck past her in the post.
And now Kate Gill with a memorable goal to steer Australia into this particular position. With that goal against Japan, she's become more authoritative. She's had a grand career for the Matildas. Can she really seal it by nailing the penalty and keeping Australia ahead? She moves in, and it is in. She's planted it beautifully, and Australia maintain his advantage. It is 3-2, and we've got two to go.
Cool, calm and collected from Katie Gill. You know, she's really got that composure when she's playing out on the field, and honestly, didn't ever think that one was in doubt. Now we need is a fantastic save from Melissa Barbieri, I think. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. Come on, Bubs. You were close to that last one.
Now, this is absolutely must get. It's 3-2. Australia would need the next one, should this be saved, to win. And it's going to be a real test coming in for Yu Yong Hui. Moves in, and that's a beautiful penalty too.
Very good.
Level it back up. It's
very good penalty from the DPR career player there. Gave Melissa Barbieri absolutely no chance whatsoever. Plenty of pace on it, ball rising into the top of the net. Very difficult for the keeper to save.
And now Heather Garriock, the veteran, moves up. No more critical moment for Heather in her long career comes up. She'll go at it with confidence with the left boot, this to maintain the advantage. She moves in and gets it, plants it down the middle. Australia fall perfectly in the back of the net. And now if Korea miss, that's it.
Pressure's all on the DPR career players here. Another good penalty taken. Heather Garriock just picking a spot. Sending the keeper the wrong way, absolutely no chance whatsoever. And you see her give a little kiss to Bill up in the crowd. He's here cheering her on. I saw him quickly before the game and he was excited.
Well, this is must kick in time for Chol Mi. She must score. Otherwise, Australia win the Asian Cup as Barbieri going to come up with a save. She moves in. It's a superb penalty to level it up. And now Australia go to the junior partner to win the contest.
Yeah, another good penalty taken. Melissa Barbieri just stuck to her spot there, and we can see Kaya Simon walking up for the next penalty.
Well, Kaya Simon has the Asian Cup in her hand. The 18-year-old who scored 2 winners for Australia in real time. Can she win the Asian Cup? She wins its first Asian Cup. Sensational performance. One of grit, one of determination, one of passion, and in the penalty shootouts, one of cool heads. Oh, it is a sea of joy from the Matildas. 5 perfect penalties, brilliantly taken, and they exact revenge on the defeats 4 years ago. What wonderful excitement for the Australian team, a first in Australian football history, an Asian Cup trophy, and it goes to the Matildas. Sometimes the indivisible team. Today, they're out there, big, bold, and beautiful. And what a strike it was from Kaya Simon. Australia wins gloriously. And Barbieri with the dance of absolute joy. And deja vu, really, for Kaya Simon, who's developing into the match winner. She scored the winning goal in March in Brisbane in the last minute of the game, in the 90th minute. And now both teams are out into the centre of the arena, and they are absolutely jubilant. We're going to pause for a moment. We're going to come back for the presentation. The handshakes are sincere and they're wonderful for Australia. They win 5-4 on penalties after extra time. A glorious triumph.
That's it, full time in the final of the 2010 AFC Women's Asian Cup. A valiant performance by Australia, defeating DPR Korea 5-4 in an intense final penalty shootout with incredibly challenging weather conditions. Australia has now made history with its first ever win in the Women's Asian Cup, and the Matildas are now set in good stead for next year's Women's World Cup in Germany. Well, we had a couple of, obviously, heart-stopping moments in the second half. The weather turned terrible, but you certainly can't question the girls' commitment tonight.
No, definitely not. I mean, what a fantastic result and a great display of penalty taking. I mean, DPR Korea definitely had the momentum going to that extra time, obviously finishing the 90 minutes very strongly. And the girls dug deep, and in all fairness, there weren't many chances in an extra time for DPR Korea. So hats off to the girls, and couldn't be happier.
We saw young Sam Kerr make the most of an opportunity in the first half and put Australia at 1-0 at half-time. It looked like they would go on with the job from there. The second half was completely different though, wasn't it, Paul? Yeah,
it was, and of course DPR Korea were behind, and we always knew that the second half they were going to come out and try and get the equaliser. The game sort of got stretched a little bit, and with some tired legs and a ball into the box, and we didn't defend as well as we wanted to, and we conceded the equaliser, and as Maddie said, DPR probably finished the game with more momentum, and what a way. Penalty shootout, if you win it, it's great. If you lose it, you say it's not the right way to decide a football game, and the girls have done us all proud, and I think we congratulate them.
We absolutely do. And let's throw down to the sideline where Alicia Ferguson is with the Matildas captain and goalkeeper, Melissa Barbieri.
Melissa Barbieri, congratulations. First Asian Cup win.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I've got to pinch myself, really. We're Asian champions, Australia. Thank God.
And talk us through the game. 120 minutes of football in tough conditions.
Oh, I'm so proud of my team. It was a great game against DPR Korea. They fought to the end, but I'm really proud of my girls. They stuck in. They even had a couple of chances at the end, but we just couldn't hang on, but lucky we got it in the penalties. I'm just so proud.
And just tell us, what did Tommy say when he gets everyone together before a penalty shootout?
Well, he told me to kick first if I won the toss and save a few, maybe.
Words of wisdom from Tommy. So what about the preparation leading up to the World Cup next year?
Well, I said to the girls, it might be the end of a tournament, but it's the first game of our journey to Germany and then onwards to London when we make it. So we're going to look to build on this team, this amazing team of young players blended with some experience, and I'm just so proud of them. We're going to go all the way. I can just feel it.
And tell us about, most importantly, the celebrations tonight.
It was a little erratic. There was nothing really, nothing planned, but I think we're all just going to put our feet up and relax.
Congratulations again, Bubs. Fantastic performance.
Thanks, Alicia. I really love to be here.
I'm so proud of you guys. Well done.
And isn't it great to see old teammates together there? Barbieri, obviously, like us all, elated with the result. Australia previously finishing a second, a third and a fourth in this tournament. Tonight, picking up their maiden Asian Cup tournament victory. It's such a proud moment for the girls.
It is, and when you consider the age of some of the players in the team, quite a number of young girls at the age of 16 who did fantastically well, take into consideration also the injury to Lisa Devanna and Sarah Walsh, two of our probably best players and most experienced players, and for the girls to, you know, in such a short tournament to play 5 games at the level that they have and then to finish it off in extra time, winning in penalties, is a massive achievement.
And Australia obviously came into this tournament ranked 5th in Asia and 12th in the FIFA rankings worldwide. So it's an amazing achievement to beat Japan, beat the champions tonight, backing up DPR Korea. And now, as we said, they've secured a place at the Women's World Cup in Germany next year. Yeah,
it's fantastic. I mean, like you said, they've obviously ranked 12 and they're going to go into, obviously, the World Cup with plenty of confidence. I mean, they've played some great sides during this tournament, and not only have they held their own, but they've, you know, performed really well with a lot of players. I mean, Tommy Samani used probably, I don't know how many players he probably used, probably 20 players all up about 22, 23 players. So, I mean, it's great for him to know that he's got plenty of depth, like Paul mentioned, and plenty of 16-year-olds there that, know that they can do the job in a year's time when they're needed.
Well, he prides himself on the depth of his squad, and we did question him a couple of times on the formations, on the lineups that were put out there, but at the end of the day, Tommy, you've brought home the result, so kudos to you, mate. Let's take a look at the penalties themselves, the highlights from the penalty shootout after 120 minutes of play. And here they come. We see the Koreans going first. A nice penalty to start it off.
Yeah, Melissa's probably a little bit unlucky here. She goes the right way, but it's a great penalty, and it was a good way for DPR to start.
And same for Australia. Sally Shipper, big smile on her face, lovely penalty into the bottom corner there. Well, yeah, not much you can do.
To be fair, a lot of the girls' penalties were absolutely fantastic. I don't think their keeper sort of got a touch on any of them, so I think that they definitely practiced them during the week, which is great.
And that was the penalty, obviously, that handed Australia the win. Kaya Simon, as we'll see shortly, handing Australia the Asian Cup, but yeah.
Again, a great penalty. I mean, every like I said, every penalty spot taken there, I think the keeper went the opposite way. So, I mean, it's always handy to go straight down the middle, especially when the keeper's diving.
What sort of pressure are these girls under for?
Yeah, enormous amount of pressure, and I think one of the things that you look for when a player's about to take a penalty is their body language, and certainly at the end of 120 minutes, players can look fatigued, but all of the girls stepped up, they looked confident, and as Matt said, all of their penalties were taken with a lot of composure, and you know, throughout the whole penalty shootout, I was quite confident that, you know, we were going to score every penalty.
You've probably taken a few yourselves, boys. I know your heart is racing. That, you know, the crowd's not huge there tonight, obviously due to the weather conditions and a few other things that we've talked about. But it's very hard and it's very daunting to know that the future of your team and here of your nation is resting on your shoulders.
Yeah, I think no matter when you take a penalty, even at training, you sort of get a little bit nervous. But after playing 120 minutes in weather like that, it definitely can't be easy. And I mean, like we said, the girls did a great job in the way they composed themselves and put everything behind them. And 5 out of 5, what a great result.
Oh, it's awesome to not miss one, obviously, as well. And in a moment, I'm sure we're about to see the Kaya Simon penalty. Here it comes. As I said, handing Australia its first Asian Cup tournament victory. Interestingly enough, Kaya was also the player that scored the goal to take Australia to victory against North Korea, or DPR Korea, in March in Brisbane at Ballymore Stadium. So she's got a pretty good record against this team.
It's always the best penalty to take, the last one, which can seal you the victory. And she stepped up, and I think it was the best penalty out of all 5 of them. And here you can see just how happy the girls are, and you know, what an achievement. It's great. Asian champions, as Melissa Barbieri said, and what a way to begin preparations for an important World Cup next year in Germany.
All right, well, it was a pretty scrappy, gritty and tough game on some, you know, a bad pitch, terrible conditions. As I said, we played 120 minutes, 1-1 at the end of 120 minutes. We've gone to penalties. Australia has won. We're about to head back to Chengdu Stadium in China for the tournament presentations. We're picking this up from the silver medal presentation. So here we see the Korean side just receiving their silver medals for 2nd place. It's hard. It
is tough because you've just lost, and the first thing you want to do is just get out of there, get into the dressing sheds, you know, have a shower and get back to the hotel. But unfortunately, when there are medal presentations, as we're seeing now, you have to turn up, go on there and collect your medals. And look, I think DPR Korea can be proud of their performance tonight. They, you know, had to come from behind to equalise the game, and they kept pushing, and they really pushed our girls right until the end. And it was only one missed penalty that separated the 2 teams.
And obviously DPR Korea have won this tournament 3 out of the last 4 times. They picked it up 2 years ago, and it's a biennial tournament, as we've discussed previously. It's tough. Like their coach said, they came in here with an understrength, underprepared side. So for the team to go through the pool stage, they finished 2nd in the pool stage, to play off in that extra time match against China, to win, to make the final against Australia. It was always going to be a tough ask. And in fact, most people probably thought DPR Korea was going to back up and make it from 2.
Well, yeah, you know, they've done well throughout the tournament. Like Paul said, you know, they've made it to the World Cup next year. They've done extremely well in this game to come from behind. They would probably consider themselves pretty unlucky not to win tonight. They definitely took control in that second half after they got the equaliser, and even in extra time, they definitely controlled a lot more possession in that extra time. And look, they can go home tonight and obviously not be too disappointed. It's not a good time to lose over 90, but to lose over 120 in penalties, it just hurts that little bit more. But I'm sure that after tonight and tomorrow, they will prepare for 2011 like our girls will.
They sure will. And here comes the Australian team, starting with Carla Reuter there, Claire Polkinghorne, receiving their gold medal, the winners of the 2010 AFC Women's Asian Cup, receiving their medals from the AFC chairman there. The girls, it's such a nice thing to have in the trophy cabinet.
It definitely is, and you never know, down the road if you're ever going to get another opportunity to, make a final or, win a medal as the girls have done tonight. And you just want to savour the moment. And here we see Lisa, who unfortunately didn't get to play tonight, but she'll be back and back on deck for the World Cup in Germany, hopefully.
And they look like a mob of drowned rats, really, don't they, in the weather there? It'd be quite cold, but I'm sure just the celebration will be keeping them warm as the team goes through. You'll see a little bit in the shot to the left shortly, the actual Asian Cup itself. It's quite a nice piece of silverware to have. I'm not sure where it'll be kept. I think the girls will be fighting over it tonight, whose room it goes into. Don't you think, Matt?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Not everyone gets to hold up a trophy like that, but I'm sure it'll get handed around after the game tonight. And no, what a fantastic effort by the girls, and you can just see there the smiles on their faces, and you can already tell that they're not only happy about the win tonight, but they already can't wait for next year in Germany.
Well, there they are, the Matildas, the 2010 AFC Asian Cup champions. I think it's phenomenal to come, you know, we came in as underdogs, really we did, and as I said to you before, you know, we questioned some of Tommy's moves in formation, we questioned some of his player selections early on, especially in that game against China where we went down, which could have been a big turning point for us in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we sat here probably 10 days ago with the first match there and went through the rankings and whatnot, and I remember saying you were telling us about the pool of death, and we weren't too sure whether the girls were going to go through, but to finish where they did in their group and then to go out against Japan a couple of days ago and put in a massive effort, and to back it up again tonight with a solid performance. Probably wasn't an ideal game from the girls in terms of possession and the way they played, but who really cares when you're sitting up there holding a trophy like that?
And there it is, the captain of the Australian women's national football team, Melissa Barbieri, holding the AFC Asian Women's Cup high. And oh, it's just such a proud moment for the Australian girls. They'll all want to get their hands on that trophy tonight. Take nothing away from DPR Korea in tonight's performance. Of course, they too played 120 minutes. The game was, as we said, 1-1 at full time. The Australian girls winning 5-4 at a penalty shootout, and it's just such a it's so wonderful to sit here and see them in front of a champion sign. They got knocked out a couple of years ago. It cost them a World Cup place a couple of years before that. So now to have guaranteed that place in the Women's World Cup in Germany next year, and to be crowned Asian champions, it's obviously going to lift their rankings in the world as well.
Yeah, it definitely will. And look, it's moments like these. It's really why you play the game, and as you can see, the joy that these girls are experiencing now. You know, who knows what can happen in Germany next year? And as Tommy said that before the game, he believes that they can beat anyone in the world. And I do think on any given day, when everyone's on board, because we're going to need Sarah Walsh and Lisa Devanna come Germany, you know, I'd give us a good chance of doing something similar.
Well, I do too now, especially picking up this trophy, this Asian Cup. Tommy Samani said this is the squad that could beat anyone, and they've gone out tonight and proven, maybe not world beaters, but certainly that they're the top of Asia right now, which is absolutely fantastic. So a big congratulations to the Matildas tonight on their AFC Asian Women's Cup win. And that wraps up the final of the Asian Cup. A big thank you to our guests, all of them, especially Matt and Paul, for joining us in the studio tonight. We hope that you've enjoyed our coverage, and we'll be back with the playoff for third and fourth.